What if the Force decided it made a mistake? What if, at the very end, it refused to let Anakin Skywalker die, and refused to let Count Dooku simply vanish into darkness, and instead hurled both of them back to the very beginning of the prequel story? That is our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy, and let's get right into it. Our story begins on the second Death Star. Anakin Skywalker, broken armor hissing, lies on the cold metal as the battle station burns around him. His mask is off. Luke is there, cradling him, the green lightsaber extinguished at his side as explosions echo through the superstructure. Father and son, enemies, now finally at peace as the galaxy trembles overhead. Anakin can feel it. The Force is wrapping around him like warm light, easing the pain in his chest, pulling him gently toward that final, quiet jump into rest. He thinks of Padme, of Obi-Wan, of the lava on Mustafar, and the platform where he fell. He has brought balance. Vader is gone. For Anakin, this is supposed to be the end, but the light does not let go. It surges. It tightens. The soft glow becomes a blinding storm, and instead of fading, Anakin feels himself ripped away from the dying battle station. Luke, the throne room, the Emperor's corpse, all stretch and twist as if the Force itself is changing its mind. There is no tunnel, no peaceful fade, only white fire and a single echoing certainty, not yet, smashed to the invisible hand, years earlier in the timeline. Dooku kneels before a younger Anakin, hands bound, two blue blades crossed at his throat. Palpatine watches from the chair, eyes hungry. This is the moment Sidious forges Vader, the moment he orders, "Do it." But before the blades fall, time shatters. The hum of the lightsabers freezes in midair as the same blinding presence floods the room. Dooku feels his death coming, then feels it yanked away. The bridge, the clones, Obi-Wan unconscious beside them, all are torn into streaks of color as the Force grabs him just as violently as it did Anakin. Two fallen Jedi, two futures of the galaxy, suddenly pulled off the board. So what if the Force refuses to accept those futures? What if, even after everything, it decides that balance was not truly done, that its chosen one and its lost count both still have a role to play? In this timeline, the Force resurrects them in the strangest way possible. It throws their minds, every memory intact, back into their younger bodies at the very start of the Phantom Menace. Now, two of the most dangerous Force users in history know everything while the galaxy is still in its Phantom Menace innocence. They know Sidious is Palpatine. They know about the Clone Wars, Order 66, the Younglings, the rise of Vader, the birth of Luke and Leia. They know how every duel ends, every jump, every blade. On Tatooine, a 9-year-old Anakin gasps awake in his slave hovel, heart pounding, the taste of Death Star smoke somehow in his lungs. In the Jedi Temple, a much younger Dooku jolts upright in his quarters, sweat on his brow, hearing the echo of "do it" in his mind. Across the stars, they both whisper the same word into the dark. Sidious. Both of them whisper, Sidious. And we're going to pause the timeline right there. Welcome back, everyone, to the Anakin Skywalker multiverse. If you've been here for the 5-hour marathons of Mustafar rewrites, Order 66 flips, and every possible way Anakin could dodge that lava, you already know how deep we go. If you're new, this channel is all about taking one decision, one jump, one blade swing, and watching the entire galaxy tilt in a different direction. And speaking of the galaxy tilting, we just hit a huge milestone on the channel. The army of subscribers who want to see Anakin and Obi-Wan break fate itself has officially crossed the line we were aiming for this year. To celebrate, we're doing a themed giveaway tied to this exact series, a prequel trilogy box set, and a replica lightsaber, the kind of blade you can imagine igniting on a burning platform, or in the halls of the Jedi Temple. Details will be at the end of the video, and it's going to be tied to your comments on this what if, so stay tuned, because tonight our story begins all over again with the Phantom Menace, except the Force has just cheated. This isn't a small tweak. We're not just asking what if Anakin stayed on Naboo, or what if Dooku never left the Order. We are fully rewriting Episode 1 with a resurrected mind inside a 9-year-old Skywalker on Tatooine, and a younger Count Dooku in the Jedi Temple who remembers every whisper of Darth Sidious, every clone order, every betrayal. For Anakin, that means he carries Mustafar in his bones. He remembers being Vader. He remembers the mask, the weight of that armor, the sound of his own mechanical breathing echoing over a dying galaxy. He remembers Luke's blade, Luke's mercy, and the moment he threw Sidious down into the reactor. Even after everything, the Force has sent him back to a sand-blasted hovel with all of that pain and all of that power locked in a child's body. For Dooku, it means waking up as a respected master with the full playbook of the Sith already in his mind. He knows Naboo is about to fall under a manufactured crisis. He knows the Trade Federation blockade, the Senate gridlock, the Clone Army, Order 66, all of it. The question is whether he uses that knowledge to save the Jedi, or to outplay Sidious and rule the galaxy himself. This is just part one of a long cinematic journey. The choices they make here will shatter the prophecy in ways that might mean Anakin never balances the Force at all. So before we jump back in, hit subscribe, ring the bell, and let me know in the comments. With this second chance, do Anakin and Dooku save the Jedi, or destroy them even faster? Let's get right into it. We're going to re-establish Episode 1 canon on Tatooine and Coruscant, just as you remember it, and then watch the exact moment the Force's intervention snaps the timeline in half. Our story begins not with a duel over lava, but years before that, in a galaxy that still thinks it's safe. 10 years before Attack of the Clones. Decades before Luke Skywalker will ever stare at twin suns. The Trade Federation's ring of battleships tightens around a green and blue world, Naboo. On the bridge of their control ship, Neimoidian officers pace nervously as holostatic flickers, and a hooded Darth Sidious orders them to blockade, to invade, to pretend this is all just a tax dispute while he quietly strangles a planet. Down in the shining heart of the Republic, Coruscant glows. The Jedi Temple stands like a mountain of stone and light. Inside, the Order believes it is at its height. Yoda and Mace Windu sit with the Council, calm, certain, watching star systems like pieces on a board. Jedi are peacekeepers, guardians, diplomats. They feel ripples in the Force, but not the storm. The Sith, as far as they know, are a ghost from 1,000 years ago, not a shadow sitting in the Senate every single day. So the Council does what it always does. It sends negotiators. Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan, Obi-Wan Kenobi, step aboard that Trade Federation ship as friends of the Republic. Robes clean, lightsabers hidden, intentions peaceful. The doors close behind them as the Neimoidians panic, stall, and finally follow Sidious's command. The gas hisses into the conference room. Blaster bolts fill the hallway. 2 green and blue blades ignite as the Jedi cut through droids and flee to the hangar, riding landing craft down toward Naboo's besieged surface. While all of that unfolds, another sun-blasted world turns far away. Tatooine. No Senate, no Jedi Temple. Just sand, junk, and heat. In Watto's cluttered shop, a 9-year-old slave named Anakin Skywalker fixes a broken motivator with hands that move faster than most adults can think. He dreams of open stars and fast pod racers. He doesn't know that somewhere out there, a queen named Padme Amidala is preparing to plead for his planet's future, or that her ship will soon be forced to land almost on his doorstep. On Coruscant, Padme rehearses speeches and strategies. On Naboo, her people brace under blockade. On Tatooine, Anakin looks up and wonders if anyone in the galaxy even knows he exists. And in the Jedi Temple, one more figure sits in quiet contemplation. Count Dooku, still a respected Jedi Master. His disillusionment simmers. He questions the Senate. He questions the Council, but he has not yet walked away. He has not yet become Darth Tyrannus. In the original timeline, this is the moment before his fall, before his alliance with Sidious, before he helps design the Clone Wars themselves. All of this is canon. All of this is the track we know. The blockade, the failed negotiations, the gas attack, the escape to Naboo, the chance detour to Tatooine that will discover young Anakin, the council that still trusts Dooku, the galaxy still asleep, and it's right here, with every piece in its proper place, that the Force is about to shove Anakin and Dooku back into their younger bodies and tear this timeline wide open. Hope you guys enjoy what comes next, because after this, nothing in The Phantom Menace plays out the same way for Anakin, or for Dooku, ever again, and this is where everything snaps. Above the galaxy, the Force is not a whisper or a vague idea. It is a luminous ocean, an endless tide of light and shadow rolling over 1 billion worlds. Stars burn like sparks inside it as currents twist around 2 fading points in the dark. The Chosen One, Anakin Skywalker, and the fallen Jedi who became a Sith Lord, Dooku. Anakin lies broken on the Death Star, the Vader armor failing as he looks at Luke with clear eyes for the first time in years. Dooku kneels on the floor of a Separatist ship, head bowed as Anakin's blades cross and end his life. Master and apprentice, pawn and prophecy. In canon, this is where their paths stop. Anakin dies redeemed, finally choosing his son over Sidious. Dooku dies discarded, a tool thrown away, the second he outlives his use. But the ocean of the Force does not settle, it churns, it judges. For Anakin, for Dooku, for every clone, and every child lost in the wars they helped create, balance is not enough. Too much blood soaked the sand, too much smoke rose from temple halls and Mustafar lava for this to be called a victory. In that instant, something impossible happens. As Anakin lifts Luke and throws Sidious into the reactor shaft, his love for his son explodes through the Force. At the same time, buried deep under Dooku's Sith training, the old Jedi Master, who once meditated in quiet temple gardens, regrets every step that led him to become the face of a fake war. Those two final sparks, light from Anakin and regret from Dooku, collide. The Force seizes on it. A vergence, just like the one that created Anakin, blooms between their deaths. Time around them feels like glass under pressure. It cracks. We cut hard. The failing respirator sound vanishes. The hum of the invisible hand's lightsabers is gone. Silence. A hot Tatooine wind howls instead as sand blasts across a small slave boy standing outside a junk shop. Anakin blinks, hand halfway to a wrench, and suddenly he remembers everything. Mustafar, the red blade, Obi-Wan on the black rock platform, Padme falling, Luke and Leia, the mask, the jump into darkness, and the climb back into the light. Decades of pain and power slam into a 9-year-old mind. Across the galaxy, another crack opens. In a quiet temple chamber lit by Coruscant traffic, a younger Dooku sits in meditation, hair still dark, robes still Jedi. His eyes snap open as visions of Camino, Geonosis, Order 66, and Sidious' yellow gaze pour into him. He hears his own voice swearing loyalty to Darth Sidious, and he almost chokes. From this second on, nothing is the same. Every choice they make now, armed with the full script of Sidious' rise, the clone army, and the fall of the Jedi, will push the prequel era off the rails. Our story begins again right here, but the players remember the ending. Let's get right into it, because after this reset, The Phantom Menace isn't just a movie anymore. It's a battlefield of second chances, and even after everything, the Force is not done with Anakin Skywalker or Count Dooku. Hope you guys enjoy where this goes next. On Tatooine, the galaxy resets with a gasp. A 9-year-old boy stumbles out of a tiny hovel into the burning twin suns. Sand scorches his bare feet. The light is too bright. For Anakin, it feels like waking up mid-fall over a river of lava. He claws at his throat, expecting the weight of the mask, the hiss of Vader's breath, the sting of Mustafar's heat on charred skin. There is nothing. No armor, no respirator, just a small, shaking body and a homespun tunic. Images slam into him as hard as any lightsaber strike. Padme collapsing on the Mustafar landing platform, Obi-Wan's voice screaming his name, his own yellow eyes reflected in a red blade, Luke pulling off the mask as the Death Star burns. Anakin drops to his knees in the sand as if he's been cut in half again, hands in front of his face, expecting them to be metal, black, soaked in the blood of younglings. They're small, human, dirty from work, not murder. Mom, his voice cracks. It's high, childish, but the terror in it is from a man who has died. Mom. Inside the hovel, Shmi Skywalker rushes out, alive, whole, no scars from Imperial torture, no memory of losing her son to the Jedi. She grabs his shoulders as he shakes, and the contact almost breaks him. Anakin clings to her, like a drowning man grabbing a floating piece of debris in that lava river. The Force roars in his ears. He feels every moment of her death on Tatooine, the Tusken camp, his own rage, and now, none of it has happened. Across the galaxy, inside the Jedi Temple, another man wakes up wrong. Count Dooku, decades younger, snaps out of meditation in a high council chamber seat. His hands grip the armrests so hard the wood creaks. For a heartbeat, he is on Geonosis again, crossing blades with Yoda as droids swarm below. Then, he feels the cold of a Separatist cruiser, Sidious's shadow at his back, and finally the flash of blue as Anakin's sabers cross at his neck. Execution, humiliation, darkness. He inhales slowly, forcing his pulse down. Unlike Anakin, he does not scream. He does not call for anyone. He closes his eyes and pushes the Force outward, searching. Is this a vision? A trick from Sidious? Some Mortis-like illusion? Or has time itself been bent? The temple feels younger. The political currents are different. Sidious is still just Palpatine, still hiding. Dooku can sense it. The clone army is only a seed in the dark. This is real. And then, both of them feel it. On Tatooine, Anakin freezes mid-sob. In the temple, Dooku's eyes snap open. The Force shudders like something vast just turned to look at them. Not a voice, not words, but an echo, as if the galaxy itself is holding its breath, watching to see what they do with this second chance. Even after everything, the Force is not subtle about the stakes. Anakin buries his face in Shmi's shoulder and makes a silent vow. He will not let Padme die. He will not become Vader. Whatever he has to do, whoever he has to defy, he will not walk that path again. Dooku, alone in the quiet chamber, comes to his own conclusion. He will not be Sidious' pawn, not this time. If he must betray the Jedi Order first to save it from what's coming, so be it. Two minds awaken in the same galaxy, but on opposite sides of the board, and as they steady themselves, neither of them realizes yet that their new choices are already pulling the timeline apart. Two minds, one on Coruscant and one on a desert world, open their eyes to the same terrifying question. Has anything actually changed, or has the galaxy just rewound the clock on its own doom? On Tatooine, the suns rise like they always do. The sand is the same, the heat is the same, but Anakin Skywalker is not. Our story begins for Anakin in Watto's junk shop, the smell of oil and metal filling the air as he leans over a half-stripped droid. His hands move on instinct, faster and cleaner than any 9-year-old should, but his eyes are on the flimsy pin to the wall, local date, trade routes, shipping notices. He quietly traces the star charts on a cracked display, looking for one name, Naboo. Nothing yet, no blockade, no whispers of a crisis, so he listens. As customers argue over parts, as pilots complain about tariffs, he stretches out with the Force, brushing the edge of their thoughts for any hint of Trade Federation trouble. There's nothing, just the usual greed and fear, and that absence tells him almost as much. They are still days, maybe weeks, before Qui-Gon walks through this door. Outside, he plays. Anakin pilots a battered pod racer frame through a canyon in his mind as he runs a maintenance test on a shop speeder. He nudges the throttle a little too hard, feels the engine buck, then corrects it with perfect control as the speeder skims just above the ground. To Watto, it's a lucky save. To Anakin, it's proof. His reflexes, his awareness, the way the Force wraps around him like an old cloak, all of it is far beyond what his small body should manage. He could jump higher, push harder, rip these restraints off his life in a heartbeat, but he doesn't. He forces himself to miss a step, to fumble a tool, to laugh like a child, because if Watto sees the truth, everything changes too early. Far away, polished stone replaces sand. Dooku's boots echo through the Jedi Temple halls as he walks with measured calm, every sense on alert. Younglings pass him. Some faces he dimly remembers. Some he knows will die on a different night under blue and green lightsabers. He inclines his head to Mace Windu, to Ki Adimundi, to Plo Koon, confirming each council seat matches his memory. In the council chamber, he pauses just long enough to hear them debate minor border disputes, the same petty politics that once drove him away. Then, the archives, the pattern interrupt of this entire second chance. Dooku stands before the great holographic star map, the cold blue light washing over his face as he enters a familiar query. Camino, nothing. The system is not in the file. He searches Sifo Dyas, finds only the barest record, a name without a future. No mention of a clone army, no hint of the storm he knows is coming. The gaps are still there, yawning open, ready for Sidious to fill. As the day ends, two realizations harden. On Tatooine, Anakin stares up at the stars and feels the dark presence of Sidious out there, untouched. In the temple, Dooku closes his eyes and sees the same. The timeline is intact. The track still leads to Mustafar, to Order 66, to Vader, to lava, and a burning platform over a dying brother. Only their intervention, careful or reckless, can throw the galaxy off these rails. And the Force has made sure they both know it. The galaxy does not notice when a timeline shivers. Ships still move. Senators still argue. But as the Force settles around its new decision, one man on Coruscant calls a hologram that will decide everything for Anakin, for Naboo, and for the future Vader that might never be born. In the darkened chamber, Darth Sidious appears only as a towering hooded figure. His voice is calm, confident. Newt Gunray kneels in the blue light, nervously wringing his hands as the hologram crackles. The blockade is in place. The invasion of Naboo is ready. To Sidious, this is just the first easy move on a long board, the first jump from one platform of the plan to the next, and he believes the Force is silent. But as he speaks, two different heartbeats stutter. On Tatooine, a younger Anakin Skywalker jerks awake in his small room. Sand sticks to his skin. His hand flies to his chest as the Force slams into him like a memory of lava and burning metal. He hears Sidious's tone without hearing the words. He knows this pattern: trade routes, blockades, Naboo in chains. It is the same cold wind that once pushed him toward a black suit and a red blade. In the Jedi Temple, Count Dooku's eyes snap open in meditation. The council chamber hums far above, but down here the air feels thin. He remembers this day, not from age, but from the other life the Force just tore him out of. He can almost see Sidious's hidden face as the hologram call ends, as the Dark Lord smiles because he thinks the board is clean. On Naboo, Queen Amidala stands before a wide window, watching Trade Federation battleships blot out the stars. Her advisors whisper. Panic spreads in soft voices. The Senate will help, the Republic will act, but she can already feel how fragile that promise is, how distant Coruscant really is when droid armies are landing on your fields. In the Senate, bureaucrats stall, committees argue, everyone hides behind procedure. Even before the Clone Wars, the Republic is already frozen, already too slow to save a single world without someone bending the rules. Our story begins again in the Jedi Council chamber as the crisis reaches them. Masters sit in a circle of calm, but there is tension in every line of their faces. They speak of negotiations, of calming the situation, of sending Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi as ambassadors. This time, Dooku is there. He watches Mace, he watches Yoda, he listens as they approve the mission, and in his mind, he sees the next 10 years play out. Naboo, Maul, the Clone Army, Order 66, Mustafar, a boy named Skywalker screaming on a black shore while blue and red lightsabers clash over a crumbling platform. As Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan bow and leave, Dooku does not follow. He lingers at the high temple window, Coruscant's traffic streams glittering below like endless possibilities. The Force coils around him, waiting. This time, he whispers, more to the Force than to himself, I will not let my former Padawan face the darkness alone. And with that quiet promise, the game truly begins. Hope you guys enjoy where this is heading, because the next move on Naboo will decide how far the galaxy can be pushed before it breaks, and whether the Force's second chance was a gift or a mistake. The game begins on Naboo's surface, but far above the swamps and palace spires, another game is being set in motion in a quiet circular room that will decide the fate of the galaxy without even realizing it. In the Jedi Council chamber, the light over Coruscant is soft. The city hums beneath them. Yoda sits in his small chair, eyes half closed, while Mace Windu and a handful of senior masters form a smaller circle. They're debriefing the crisis, the Trade Federation's invasion, the Queen's escape, the rumors of a Sith warrior with a red blade on Tatooine. The words are calm, but the Force around them feels like a storm about to break. Dooku stands at the edge of the circle, hands folded inside his robes, posture perfect. To them, he is simply Master Dooku, respected, principled, perhaps a little stubborn. To himself, he is a man standing on a collapsing platform above lava, watching the future burn. He listens as Mace reports on the Naboo situation, on the Trade Federation's supposed dispute, on the Senate's slow response. Every line matches the script he remembers, down to the helplessness in their voices. He decides to test the waters. His voice is smooth, measured. Masters, he says, we speak of the Trade Federation as if they act alone, yet the Senate is paralyzed. Corruption has spread like a shadow. Is it so unthinkable that someone is guiding both, a hidden mastermind, binding corporate power and political power together? There's a subtle shift, a few frowns. Mace glances at him. We all know the Senate has its problems, Master Dooku, he replies. But that's a far jump from some phantom conductor. The Sith have been extinct for a millennium. His tone is firm, but not hostile, just certain, too certain. Dooku lets a beat of silence hang, then pushes a little further. Hypothetically then, he continues, If such a figure existed, they might prepare contingencies, secret armies, perhaps commissioned off the official records, on some distant world, Camino for instance. The name lands like a thrown lightsaber, clean, precise, deadly if it connects. But around the circle, there is only confusion. Mace's brow tightens. Yoda's ears tilt. One of the other masters quietly repeats, Camino, as if tasting a word they've never heard before. Dooku watches every micro-reaction. No recognition, no buried guilt, no shared secret. Good. Sidious has not yet touched this thread. He can still cut it. He presses one more card. And if a Jedi, perhaps named Sifo Dyas, were ever to foresee a coming war and suggest a clone army as a safeguard, would the Council consider it or dismiss it as fear? His heart is pounding now, even after everything. He already knows the answer, but he needs to hear it. Yoda opens his eyes fully for the first time. The room seems to narrow around Dooku. Much fear of the future in you, I sense, Yoda says quietly. Attachment to outcomes, to what might be, not what is. Dangerous this path is. Lead to darkness, it can. Mace folds his arms. If the Sith had truly returned Master Dooku, we would sense it. A single warrior with a red blade does not mean a 1,000-year shadow has suddenly risen to take the galaxy. We stay cautious, but we do not chase ghosts. Their certainty hits harder than any physical blow. Dooku realizes, in that moment, that he cannot save them by simply telling them the truth. Words are not enough. Prophecy is not enough. For Anakin, for the Order, for the Republic, he will need leverage, proof, and maybe a network of his own, moving through the dark where Sidious thinks he walks alone. As the meeting breaks and the masters drift away, Dooku lingers at the window, watching the endless streams of speeders. Somewhere out there, a senator named Palpatine is smiling. Somewhere on Naboo, a boy named Skywalker is taking his first steps toward destiny. Dooku closes his eyes and reaches into the Force, searching for a thread he can pull that won't snap the whole tapestry. What he senses next makes him freeze in place, and it is not Sidious. What Dooku senses is not Sidious at all. Far away, under twin suns, the Force is roaring around a little boy who is trying very, very hard to pretend he's normal. On Tatooine, our story begins again for Anakin Skywalker. The door to the hovel slides open. Sand blows in. Shmi looks up from the table, tired, kind, exactly as he remembers her in that last peaceful moment before everything went wrong. Anakin just freezes. Then he runs. He slams into her with so much force, she actually stumbles, and his small arms clamp around her like Durasteel. For Anakin, this is the woman he held as she died in his arms. Now she's warm, breathing, confused by the way her 9-year-old son is shaking. He buries his face in her shoulder. He smells dust and fabric, and that faint hint of engine grease she can never quite wash out. And suddenly he's back at the Tusken camp, back at the poles, back at the moment he ignited a blade and stopped being a child. His fingers dig in too hard. Shmi winces, then just hugs him tighter, whispering that everything is alright. Of course she does. She has no idea that Vader ever existed. Night falls. The street outside is quiet. Inside, the hovel is lit by a single dim lamp. Shmi sleeps. Anakin lies awake on his cot, staring at the ceiling, feeling the weight of 2 lifetimes pressing down on this tiny body. He remembers younglings in the temple hallway. He remembers the glow of their sabers turning off one by one. He remembers Alderaan, the way Tarkin smiled as entire cities vanished in a white flash that echoed through the galaxy and the Force like a scream. He lifts his hand. A bolt, a hydrospanner, a scrap of metal all rise into the air as smoothly as if they're in 0G. No clumsy wobble like before. He spins them, stacks them, threads them through each other in spirals that would have made Obi-Wan stare. Then, quietly, he rolls off the bed, picks up a broken length of pipe, and takes a stance that no child on Tatooine should know. He moves. The staff cuts through the air in tight arcs, form V, then a sharp pivot into a Sorasu guard he stole from watching Obi-Wan on Mustafar. A high jump, a twist, a downward strike that once ended a Separatist general. He even copies Luke's awkward overhand chop from the Death Star, correcting it mid-swing. There is no lightsaber here, no humming blade, but the muscle memory of Vader and the desperate creativity of Luke are both living inside these small hands. Then he stops, because something is watching. Anakin closes his eyes and reaches out. The Force rushes in, bigger and louder than it ever was in this era. Far away, like a knife made of ice, he feels Sidious. Cold, patient, already moving pieces on Coruscant, but there's something else. A warmth, distant but steady, like a campfire in a storm. Older Anakin knows that presence. Qui-Gon Jinn, the man who believed in him when the Council hesitated, the man he failed to save. Anakin steps outside, barefoot on cool sand, and looks up at the stars. He knows Sidious is out there. He knows that warmth is coming here. He whispers to the sky that this time he'll control everything. He'll protect Shmi, Padme, Obi-Wan, Luke, everyone. The galaxy will never burn in lava and fire again, and the Force stirs, because even after everything, that need to control might be the first shadow of his downfall all over again. Hope you guys enjoy where this is going, because from here, the moment Qui-Gon lands on Tatooine, everything changes. So while Anakin stares up at that Tatooine sky, swearing the galaxy will never burn again, far above him, another familiar story is already starting. And for now, it's still on rails. Our story begins on the silent approach to the Trade Federation command ship. A sleek Republic cruiser cuts through space. Inside, Qui-Gon Jinn and a much younger Obi-Wan Kenobi walk down the ramp, calm, composed. Exactly as we remember, the doors open to a line of battle droids and a nervous protocol droid, and everything looks routine, but the Force is already humming with a different kind of tension. They bow, they're polite, tea is offered, chairs are taken, and the Neimoidian officers exchange worried glances as they stall for time. Out in the control room, Newt Gunray's hands shake while a hooded hologram flickers before him. Darth Sidious gives the same order he always did: wipe them out, all of them. Canon holds, line for line, but this time there's a tiny shiver in the hologram, like the Dark Lord himself feels some distant disturbance he can't quite name. Gas hisses into the conference room, the doors slam shut, the droids expect screams. Instead, there is only stillness. Two Jedi breathe slow, center themselves, and let the Force flow, holding their lungs, their minds, their fear in absolute control. The smoke thickens, as the camera would normally cut away, but we stay with them for a heartbeat longer, just enough to feel that something else is watching. Some will that already pulled Skywalker and Dooku out of lava and death, and is now letting this scene play out untouched. Blaster fire erupts as the doors melt. Green and blue ignite together. The two of them have their blades locked with incoming bolts, as the corridor fills with sparks and severed metal. Battle droids fall in pieces. Qui-Gon drives forward, Obi-Wan at his side, moving with that perfect master and apprentice rhythm, carving a path through the ship as alarms begin to howl, and the invasion of Naboo quietly shifts from political pressure to open war. As they fight, we cut hard to Coruscant. Deep in the Jedi Temple, Count Dooku sits alone in meditation. His eyes snap open. For an instant, he feels it all at once. His former Padawans brush with death, the sharp echo of Qui-Gon's defiance, and far out on the edge of perception, a cold shadow like a hand closing around the Senate. Sidious. The same presence that once made him betray everything. Even after everything, the memory of that choice makes his heart pound. He rises, cloak whispering over the floor, but he does nothing yet. The council hasn't called. The script is still following its marks. Back on Naboo, escape pods streak through the clouds. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan step out into a jungle, already trembling with distant explosions as the droid army begins its march. Sidious believes his plan is perfect. For Anakin and Dooku, the real fight hasn't even started. Let's get right into it in the next part. Back on Coruscant, far from the jungles of Naboo, the temple is quiet. Too quiet for Count Dooku. Our story begins for him in a narrow archive alcove. Lights dim, the glow of hollow screens painting sharp lines across his face as he stands perfectly still, like a statue about to crack. He closes his eyes. The Force surges. In a single breath, he is no longer in the archive. He is on Geonosis, bowing to a hooded Sidious. He is on invisible bridges above a factory world, commanding endless droid legions as the galaxy burns. He is on his knees in front of Anakin Skywalker, hands severed, hearing Sidious say, "Kill him." The blue blade crosses his vision as his own head falls. Then he's back, fingers trembling around the edge of a datapad. Dooku exhales, long and controlled. The disgust is not just for Sidious, it is for himself, for the version of him that traded a corrupted republic for a worse empire, that believed becoming a Sith was the only way to break the chains. Master and traitor, reformer and monster, all fused into one future. He refuses to repeat, even after everything. He paces between the tall archive stacks as whispers of other memories slide through him. The Senate chamber, drowning in procedure, Jedi masters sitting in high chairs, talking about balance, while the dark side coils right under their feet. He sees the Council ignore warnings, dismiss visions, cling to neutrality while clones march and worlds fall. Sidious did not create those cracks. He slid through them. That realization is the blade cutting deepest. Simply defending the old ways will not save them. If the Jedi return to their comfortable seats, if they keep serving politics instead of the Force, Sidious wins without even igniting his lightsaber. So Dooku starts to test the edges of his new path. He imagines walking into Palpatine's office tonight, igniting his blade, ending the Sith before the lava of war ever erupts. He imagines standing in the Senate, exposing the Chancellor's future crimes with names, dates, battlefields that have not yet happened. He imagines leaving the Order now, vanishing into the stars to build a movement that can match the coming separatist machine before it ever exists. Each vision plays out in his mind as he moves, cloak trailing behind him like a shadow trying to keep up. Each one ends in chaos. The galaxy is not ready, he is not ready, an open strike, and Sidious will simply adapt. A loud accusation, and the Council will turn on him, a premature departure, and he becomes the very Sith warlord he swore he would not be, so he chooses a middle path. For now, he will remain within the Order. He will listen in Council sessions, watch Senate broadcasts, trace every tremor in the Force that smells like Sidious. Quietly, he will test his fellow Jedi, a word here, a question there, seeing who is willing to doubt the Council's complacency when the storm truly hits. He will gather names, allies, pressure points. As he settles at a reading table, the Force ripples, a tiny disturbance, far away, like a single spark over an endless desert. Dooku freezes. He reaches out. For a moment, he feels something impossibly bright and strangely scarred, a presence flaring on a backwater world called Tatooine, a boy, a storm, a destiny he cannot yet name. Dooku opens his eyes, heart pounding. Somewhere out there, the future just jumped, and the Force is not done rewriting the script. Dooku sits frozen in the dark of his Coruscant quarters. As that distant spark on Tatooine fades, the galaxy feels like it's holding its breath. For a moment, he wonders if the Force itself just looked back at him. On Tatooine, that same night, Anakin Skywalker finally sleeps. Our story begins in a cramped slave hovel, not on a lava river, but the weight on his chest feels just as heavy as Mustafar. He tosses, he turns. The room falls away. The air goes cold. He stands on a vast stone platform, hanging in a black sky. No stars, no suns, only 3 figures ahead of him, lit by a pale glow. Father, son, daughter. The Mortis beings he once met in another lifetime, now watching him in total silence, as if they remember him and he barely remembers them. Images slam into him like blows. Mustafar's lava rising around a broken platform, his own metal limbs, a black mask sealing shut, a red blade igniting in a dark corridor as younglings scream, the Death Star eclipsing a planet, then exploding in a ring of fire. Luke, standing on the second Death Star, refusing to strike. Vader's hand reaching, then falling. Anakin tries to speak, but no sound comes out. The son's eyes burn yellow. The daughter's wings unfold. The father only raises a hand, and the visions speed up, looping and twisting, showing futures that did happen, and futures that could happen again. Far away, in his meditation chamber, Dooku's eyes close. He sinks deeper into the Force, following that same spark, and the floor vanishes beneath his boots. He opens his eyes inside the Jedi Temple, but it is shattered, statues cracked, hollows flickering, smoke everywhere. Blaster fire echoes down the halls. Clones in white armor storm past him, faceless, firing up at Jedi falling with blue and green lightsabers spinning from their hands. Dooku walks untouched through the chaos as if he's a ghost. He turns a corner and sees himself kneeling before Sidious, bathed in sickly light, his curved blade held out in surrender. The scene rips apart. Now he's standing on hot sand beside a much younger Anakin on Tatooine, the boy looking up at the sky like he's waiting for something. For Obi-Wan, for destiny, for power he doesn't understand yet. Between both visions, a voice cuts through. Not loud, not gentle, just inevitable. It sounds like the Force itself, but there's a hint of Qui-Gon in it, like a memory that hasn't happened yet. Balance is not a moment, it is a choice, made again and again. Cycles repeat, wars repeat, fall and redemption repeat, until someone breaks the pattern. Anakin reaches toward the Mortis trio as the images of Vader and Luke collide. Dooku reaches toward the boy on Tatooine as the clones fire in the distance. Both of them try to ask the same question. Why us? Silence. Then, one last whisper. The board resets. The pieces remember. What will you do differently this time? Anakin jolts awake, heart racing. He doesn't understand all of it, but he clings to one thing. The Jedi are part of the problem. Blind trust will lead him back to the mask, back to that red blade. For Anakin, the vision feels like a warning. Dooku rises from meditation, hands shaking. He sees the temple burning, the order dying, and Sidious using him like a tool. To him, the message is clear. Reshape the Jedi, or they will fall exactly as shown. And for us, watching this new timeline unfold, the pattern interrupt is obvious. The Force hasn't just rewound the tape for fun, it expects different choices. If Anakin and Dooku walk the same paths, the galaxy will find a new way to break. The question is, when the next moment comes, will they jump the same way, or finally step off the platform? Let's get right into it in the next part, and hope you guys enjoy seeing just how far this new script can bend before it snaps. The galaxy doesn't rewind to be kind, it rewinds to test if anyone has really changed. As Naboo burns under blockade fire, we snap back to canon, but with two ghosts walking in the current. The Queen's sleek silver starship blasts out of Theed's night, engines screaming as it claws for orbit. Turbo laser fire rips past, one bolt connects. The hull shudders, alarms blare, and Obi-Wan is thrown against a bulkhead as sparks shower the corridor. It looks like the same escape we know, the same desperate run through the Trade Federation blockade, but the Force is watching every meter of this jump. On the bridge, Rick Ollier calls out shields and power levels, but Qui-Gon is only half listening. His eyes are distant, his breathing slows. He feels something, not just danger, not just the usual current of the living Force. It's like a hand on his shoulder, turning him toward the outer rim. Every time he suggests a course, the Navi computer glitches. Every alternative path feels wrong, heavy, like trying to push a boulder uphill. The damage report comes in. Hyperdrive generator hit. They can't make Coruscant. They need a neutral system, a quiet world, somewhere to vanish and repair. Rick lists options. Obi-Wan recommends safer ports. Each one makes Qui-Gon's chest tighten. Tatooine flickers on the star map, and the pressure eases, like an exhale through the cockpit. He doesn't know why, but he knows. The Force isn't hinting anymore, it is pulling. Out here, Obi-Wan protests, frowning at the desert planet. It's controlled by the Hutt's master, which means the Trade Federation has no reach there. Qui-Gon answers, but the words are just a cover for the certainty blooming in his mind. Our story begins again on this backwater world, and for Anakin Skywalker, the script is about to change. Far below, in the baked streets of Mos Espa, Anakin pauses mid-step. He's older inside than his small frame admits. He's been trying to live quietly, fixing things, watching Shmi, keeping his temper in check when the old nightmares of Vader, lava, and a burning platform claw up from the dark. But as the Nubian ship drops into the system, the Force slams into him like a wave. His tools rattle on the bench. The hairs on his arms rise. He looks up through the dusty skylight at a sky he can't see, and yet he sees it anyway. A silver shape cutting through atmosphere, a familiar destiny threading back toward him. Even after everything, he knows this feeling. The turning point has arrived again. Light years away on Coruscant, in the calm heart of the Jedi Temple, Dooku stops mid-stride. The polished floor, the distant hum of traffic, the quiet murmur of younglings all fall away as a bright flare ignites in the outer rim. It's sharp, focused, not like the vague unrest he's been tracking. This is a signal. He closes his eyes, reaches out, and tastes sand, heat, the echo of a boy he once only read about in obscure prophecy debates. When he opens them, his expression is cool, but his path bends. He diverts to the archives, cloak swirling, and pulls up temple traffic records, scanning for any Jedi-related vessel forced off course toward Tatooine. There it is, Royal Naboo markings, Jedi transponder, exactly where Sidious would not be looking. Back on Tatooine, the Queen's silver ship descends toward the Mos Espa outskirts, kicking up a storm of dust. Sand whips around the landing gear as the repulsors whine, the hull still scorched from the blockade run. The ramp hasn't even lowered yet. Anakin stands at the edge of a junkyard, sun in his eyes, watching that ship settle like a memory made real. His gaze is steady, far older than anyone on that vessel will realize when they meet him. The Force hums between them, a cable drawn tight. The galaxy is lining up the same pieces on the same board, but this time, 2 players remember the whole game, and neither of them is planning to make the same opening move. The ramp lowers, heat rolls off the engines, and there he is. Anakin squints up through the dust as the strangers descend, and for a heartbeat, the galaxy folds in on itself. A queen hiding in plain sight, a Jedi who will die in his arms, a ship that once meant freedom, and now feels like a loaded dice the Force is throwing again. He feels himself move before he decides to. Small boots through sand, short steps, practiced lines. Our story begins the same way, but Anakin Skywalker is not the same boy. Padme turns first. Younger, softer, alive. The sight of her almost knocks the air from his lungs. There is a flash of Mustafar, of a burning platform, and her hand reaching for him as the lava boiled below. For Anakin, it would be so easy to fall to his knees and confess everything, to beg her to leave this planet, this war, this future. Instead, he smiles, because he remembers he once did. He lets the words fall into place, like they're on rails. Are you an angel? His voice is lighter, but inside, the question is different. He's not just a curious slave boy anymore. He's a man who has seen her die, asking the Force if it's really cruel enough to show her to him again. Padme blushes the same way. She laughs the same way. The sound is a knife and a blessing together. Even after everything, she still glows in the Force, like a star seen from orbit. Behind her, Qui-Gon studies him. That calm, measuring gaze. Anakin feels it like a lightsaber blade pressed near his skin, not to wound, but to test. As he talks, as he repeats almost word for word how he knows pilots, how he's a person, and his name is Anakin, he reaches back. He brushes Qui-Gon's presence. There it is. Steady, deep, compassionate, in a way the Council never understood. A man who will put a hand on his shoulder in front of the whole temple and say, I will train him. But this time, Anakin doesn't wait for fate to nudge things. He steers. You're a Jedi, right? I can help you. I know all the parts in Watto's shop. And you can stay at my place. Sandstorms get bad. You shouldn't be out in them. He makes sure it sounds innocent, helpful, not like someone who already knows they'll end up at that table, sharing food, while Shmi smiles sadly in the background. Inside, he's cataloging variables. The podrace, the bet, the departure. Nothing will be an accident. Every jump, every risk will be chosen. Qui-Gon frowns, just slightly. There's something off. The boy's eyes are too steady. There is pain layered under his words, old and scarred, where there should only be fresh confusion. The Force curls around Anakin like a storm around an eye. A very unusual boy, Qui-Gon murmurs to himself as they walk. A vergence in the Force. And this time, he's even more certain. Anakin glances up at the sky. Twin suns, harsh and familiar, but beyond them, like a distant ember, he feels it. Hunger, hatred, a predator inbound. Darth Maul. Anakin's hand tightens at his side, as if closing around a hilt that isn't there yet. He breathes once, slow. This time, the Sith assassin will not catch them by surprise. And somewhere on this desert world, another resurrected player is already moving into position. Out in the calm above Coruscant, as Anakin stares into twin suns far away, another old warrior makes his choice. Inside the Jedi Temple Council chamber, Count Dooku stands at the center of the circle. His cloak is immaculate. His posture is perfect. But there is an edge in his voice the Council has not heard in years. He bows slightly, eyes sweeping over Mace, over Ki-Adi, finally resting on Yoda. Masters, I request authorization to investigate disturbances in the Outer Rim. The Naboo crisis may be the first tremor, not the quake. His words are measured as always, but the urgency beneath them is new. Our story begins here for Dooku, not with disillusionment and departure, but with the decision to move first. Mace Windu leans back in his chair, studying him. The room is quiet, Yoda's ears dip, and for a moment, the two masters simply share a look, concern, suspicion, but also respect. A senior master volunteering to step into the shadows, while Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are already tangled in the Naboo blockade. It has value. The galaxy is shifting. Someone needs to feel how hard. Trusted, you are, Yoda finally says. Go, assess this disturbance, you will? Mace gives the smallest nod. Keep your comm open, Master Dooku. If this links back to Naboo, we need to know. Minutes later, the temple hangar hums as a sleek Jedi transport powers up. Silver hull, clean lines, no Senate markings, just the quiet confidence of the Order. At the base of the ramp, a younger attendant waits, robes a shade simpler than Dooku's, eyes bright, not quite the hardened aide he'll one day command, but the loyalty is already there. Master, I've never seen you push a departure this fast, the attendant says as they walk up the ramp together. Is the situation truly that urgent? Dooku's cape settles around him as he answers. The Force rarely shouts. Today, it is close to doing so. It's the most he dares to admit. He cannot tell this young Jedi that he remembers clone armies, inhibitor chips, Order 66, that he has seen Anakin Skywalker burn on a lava bank while Obi-Wan screams his name. The ship jumps to hyperspace, stars stretching into bright tunnels. Inside his private meditation chamber, Dooku kneels, hands folded, eyes closed. He lets the roar of the engines fade until there is only breath and the Force. Threads appear. He sees Qui-Gon, a stubborn flame pushing against a storm. He sees a blazing childlight, raw and golden, flaring on a desert world. Anakin, not Vader, not yet. The boy is a sun that hasn't exploded, but Dooku knows exactly how bright and how destructive that supernova can become. Then, the shadow cuts across it, a horned shape, burning eyes, a predator's patience wrapped around a red lightsaber. Darth Maul, the apprentice Sidious will soon unleash. Already angling toward Tatooine like a knife, the vision snaps. The cockpit chimes. Real space. The transport drops out of hyperspace, and Tatooine swells in the viewport, a pale wound of sand against the dark. Dooku rises slowly, every step to the bridge heavier than it should be. He is about to meet the Chosen One years before he ever did, and this time he carries the full weight of the boy's future fall, redemption, and the shattered galaxy left in its wake. For Anakin, this is the first jump. For Dooku, it might be the last chance. And on this forgotten world, their timelines are about to collide. Out on Tatooine, the timelines finally collide in something as simple as a bet. Our story begins in Watto's cluttered junk shop as the suns beat down outside. Qui-Gon is there, calm and focused, but this time, the boy beside him is not just a hopeful slave. Anakin Skywalker stands very still, every word, every gesture, from his past life echoing in his mind. As he watches the conversation he remembers start to unfold. Watto waves them off, bragging about Sebulba. Qui-Gon moves toward the familiar deal, but Anakin steps in, just half a pace, just enough to shift the script. His voice is respectful, small, but his eyes are ancient. He suggests a different angle, nudging Qui-Gon with little comments about how valuable a pod is, how dangerous the race is, how a pilot's freedom and his mother's safety should be worth more than a single pod racer. Master and slave, Jedi and child, standing together as Anakin quietly steers the bargain toward more leverage over their future. Qui-Gon doesn't know why he follows the boy's instincts, only that the Force hums in agreement as the terms bend. Not just parts, but clear papers, guarantees, a path off this dustball for Shmi as well. Watto laughs, thinks he's winning, but for Anakin, this is the first test of control. Later, in the hangar, the hum of engines replaces the buzz of the shop. Anakin moves around his pod racer with surgical precision. He remembers every failure, every loose cable, every power surge that almost killed him. His small hands move like a veteran mechanic as he tightens the couplings that once blew, reinforces the fuel lines that once sparked, and checks the repulsors 3 extra times. At the same time, he walks past Sebulba's pod. He doesn't slash, doesn't leave obvious damage. Instead, he adjusts the stabilizer by a fraction, shifts a connector so it will overheat only under maximum strain. Sabotage that looks like bad luck, the kind of thing he once blamed on fate, now turned into a quiet weapon. When the race begins, the arena roars. The gates blast open. Anakin's pod shoots forward, and his mind goes perfectly still. He knows every turn, every rock, every Tusken sniper nest. The two of them had their engines screaming as the canyon walls rushed by, but for Anakin, it feels like gliding on rails he laid years ago. He drifts early into the sharp right that once caught him off guard. He cuts power for a heartbeat before the rock slide that used to slam his cockpit. Victory stops feeling miraculous. It feels calculated, chosen, then it happens. Another racer spins out ahead, clipping a ridge, starting a chain reaction he remembers. Anakin could swing wide, take the hit himself, maybe save the other pilot. He has the reflexes. The Force whispers options. He doesn't. He threads the gap instead, letting the crash play out behind him in fire and twisted metal. He tells himself he has to win, that if he doesn't, Shmi stays in chains. Qui-Gon fails, the galaxy burns again. One life for millions. He's made that trade before, as Vader. The finish line approaches. The crowd is a wall of sound. Anakin surges ahead of Sebulba as the sabotaged pod finally gives out, engines tearing apart in a blaze that looks like pure chance. The boy crosses first. The stands erupt. Qui-Gon is amazed, almost stunned by how controlled the run looked. But as Anakin stands on the platform, basking in the cheers, a chill runs through him. It was too easy, too simple to bend events when you already know the script. Power without struggle, control without question. Even after everything, the Force has brought him back here. And as he looks at his mother in the crowd, and at the Jedi who will change his life, he realizes this pod race was not just about freedom, it was a rehearsal. If he can rewrite one race, what else can he rewrite? Let's get right into it in the next part, because this is where the future starts to truly fracture, and hope you guys enjoy how far this new Anakin is willing to go. Our story begins again, just minutes later, in the heat and dust of Mos Espa. The crowd is still roaring from the pod race. Anakin is being lifted up on shoulders, the future of the galaxy cheering around a boy who doesn't realize he's already rewritten his own fate. In the shadows of a nearby archway, a cloaked figure stops. Sand crunches under polished boots. The twin suns burn overhead as the figure lowers his hood just enough for sharp eyes to scan the scene. Count Dooku has arrived on Tatooine, earlier than in any timeline he remembers, and the Force hits him like a wave. He feels it before he sees the boy, a blinding presence, not just bright, not just strong, but familiar in a way that makes his stomach twist. For Anakin, that feeling will one day be the cold mechanical breath of Vader. For Dooku, right now, it is both of those futures at once. He senses the same darkness that will stand on a lava platform on Mustafar, the same rage that will ignite a crimson blade, but it's wrapped in something else. The redeemed light he felt in his own death vision the moment Vader became Anakin Skywalker again. It shouldn't exist together, light and dark, fall and redemption, all in one small, excited child laughing in the dust. Dooku actually takes a step back. The paradox makes the Force around him shudder, as if the timeline itself is trying to decide which version of this boy is real. Qui-Gon feels it too, in a softer way. As the celebrations calm, he notices the tall cloaked man at the edge of the crowd and frowns. Then his expression shifts. Recognition, respect, a ghost from his own past, now standing in this impossible future. He brings Anakin over. Short steps, beating heart. Anakin is still buzzing from victory when Qui-Gon says the words that freeze him in place. Anakin, this is Master Dooku, a senior Jedi Master. Time snaps. For a fraction of a second, the boy from Tatooine is back on the invisible hand. Older hands, a red lightsaber, a desperate chancellor, his own blades crossing, then scissoring, Dooku's head falling, Palpatine's voice hissing, telling him to do it. Anakin's breath catches, his smile dies. Their eyes lock. Master and future murderer, future Sith Lord and future Chosen One, both of them carrying memories the galaxy hasn't earned yet. Dooku studies the boy. He feels the buried darkness under Anakin's wide-eyed wonder, the scars of younglings and temple halls, and a throne room where blue lightning filled the air. He feels unimaginable guilt pressed deep down, like someone has tried to bury a star. At the same time, Anakin looks up and senses something he never had words for as a child, the calm, cultured Jedi mask in front of him, and underneath, the cold precision of Darth Tyrannus. Geonosis, clones marching, a duel in darkness where blades crash and Obi-Wan falls. The Force hums between them, thick and heavy. Qui-Gon feels only a fraction of it, but even that is enough to make him uneasy. Dooku finally smiles, gentle, almost kind. He kneels so his eyes are level with Anakin's. "Tell me, Anakin," he says softly, testing the future. "What is it you truly want from the years ahead?" The question hangs there. Freedom, his mother, Padme, power, a different ending on Mustafar. All of it flashes through Anakin's mind as the Force waits to see which word he will choose. And in the next part, his answer might change everything, even after everything he's already lived through. Everything, Anakin almost says. Instead, he swallows, the twin suns low on the horizon as the sky over Mos Espa bleeds into orange and purple. Sand crunches under their boots. The noise of the town fades behind them with every step until it's just wind, dunes, and that strange humming quiet of the Force when it's watching closely. Our story begins out here, not in a throne room or on a lava platform, but in the empty desert where there's nowhere to hide from the truth. Dooku walks at Anakin's side, hands folded in his sleeves, cloak tugged by the breeze. Master and child, future Sith and future Vader, now two souls who have already died once, pretending they haven't. Dooku breaks the silence first. His voice is softer than any Padawan of his remembers. You are unusually self-possessed for your age, Anakin. These dreams you spoke of, do they frighten you? Anakin keeps his eyes on the sand. Short steps, short breaths, longer shadows. They used to, he says. Now they just feel like warnings. I'm already too late to stop. He doesn't mention Mustafar. He doesn't mention Padme's hand going limp in his. He just lets the wind carry that weight away. Dooku studies him as they walk further from Mos Espa, the town now a low smear of light behind them. And leaving your mother? Does that frighten you? That hits. Anakin stops. The Force presses in. I'm not afraid to go, he answers slowly. I'm afraid of what happens if I don't. People die because no one is strong enough, fast enough, willing enough to stop it. I don't want to be that Jedi who shows up after it's over and says we did all we could. I want the power to make sure they don't die in the first place. The words are too sharp, too focused for a 9-year-old. They land in Dooku like an old wound reopening. For Anakin, it's about Shmi, about Padme, about Luke and Leia he hasn't met yet in this timeline. For Dooku, it's Serenno, Lost Worlds, a Senate that talks while planets burn. He exhales. Be wary, Skywalker. That desire to save can cut both ways. The Order teaches us to let go, to accept the will of the Force. But there are times when the Jedi confuse acceptance with paralysis, when they sit in their temple while the galaxy rots. Anakin looks up sharply. You don't trust the Council. It's not a question. I trust that even Jedi can be blind, Dooku replies. Including myself. Question what you were told. Question me. But do not let that doubt drive you into darkness. The Sith twist that same hunger to save into chains. For a moment, the pattern breaks completely. No prophecy, no titles. Just an old man warning a boy not to become what both of them already were. Then it hits them. A cold ripple knifing through the warm desert air. The Force tightens, predatory, like something has just turned its gaze on Tatooine. Anakin's breath catches. Dooku's head snaps toward the sky. Far above, unseen, a small ship slips into the system. They don't know his name yet, but they both feel Maul. The honesty between them snaps shut like a lightsaber blade. Dooku straightens. Anakin's hands curl. The quiet talk in the dunes is over. The next move in the game has arrived, and in the very next part, that arrival will drag all of them back toward war, even after everything. Hope you guys enjoy, because from here, things are about to accelerate fast. That next move doesn't start with the Jedi on the sand. It starts in the shadows of Coruscant. Sidious stands at the window, watching the endless traffic of the galaxy drift past as a chill runs through the dark side. Something is wrong. The blockade over Naboo is in place, his trap for the Queen is set, but the Force itself ripples like it did on Mortis, like a warning. Two bright scars have appeared in the current, one flaring around Naboo, the other brushing Tatooine like a distant storm. He lowers his hood just enough to breathe, then reaches out through the bond to his assassin. On the far edge of the system, in the cramped cockpit of the Sith infiltrator, Darth Maul snaps his yellow eyes open. The stars are stretched into white lines as the ship tears through hyperspace, and Sidious's voice cuts directly into his mind. Updated orders. No more patience. No more subtle tracking. The Queen's escape from Naboo is ahead of schedule. Her Jedi escorts feel different. Sidious tells him to be ruthless. Hunt them. Break them. Leave nothing that can threaten the grand design. Maul accepts with a single wordless surge of hate. His hands tighten on the controls as the ship screams out of hyperspace near Tatooine. Starlines snapping back into hard points of light. Sand world, nowhere. But the dark side coils here, disturbed. He can feel Jedi, more than he expected. Old power, disciplined power, and something else. A fractured, burning presence that feels like Skywalker and Vader at the same time, even though he has never met that future. He stalks from the cockpit as the infiltrator begins its silent approach. In the meditation chamber, Maul kneels, lets the dark side pour through him, and reaches out. He tastes twin suns, dry wind, fear, hope, and then, like a blade dragged across his mind, he feels a familiar elegance. Dooku, that should be impossible. Down on Tatooine, the reaction is instant. Qui-Gon's hand stills on his communicator. Obi-Wan, listening from the Queen's ship, goes quiet mid-sentence. Dooku straightens on the ridge above Maz Espa. Anakin, little more than a boy in size but carrying a lifetime of scars, feels it hit like a cold wave. The force around them tightens, all warmth stripped away. This is not the faint, distant chill from canon. This is a spike of pure, focused hatred, driven by Sidious urgency. The wind kicks dust around Anakin's boots as he swallows. He knows this feeling from Mandalore, from hollow recordings of a horned Zabrak with a double-bladed lightsaber cutting through clones and Jedi alike. His voice comes out small, but steady. "Sith," he whispers. Dooku's head snaps toward him. The word lands like a stone in still water. The boy should not know that name. Not here, not now. For Anakin to recognize it means the timeline is already tearing away from anything Dooku expected. Up above, Maul's ship slips into low orbit. Hatches open. Sleek probe droids launch and dive toward Mos Espa, scattering like metal insects. One drifts over the dunes, red eye sweeping. It pauses, turns, and the camera lingers as that single crimson sensor locks onto the Naboo Royal Starship's gleaming hull. The hunt has begun earlier than fate intended, and in the next part, that tiny red eye is going to drag all of them into collision long before anyone is ready, even after everything. Hope you guys enjoy, because from here, let's get right into it. The camera cuts from that glowing red sensor to the open desert. Heat haze, wind, sand. The Naboo Royal Starship sits like a fallen jewel as the group starts their march back. Anakin trotting between Qui-Gon and Dooku, still buzzing from the pod race and from the storm of visions in his head. Our story begins in the dunes, as the Force itself seems to hold its breath. There's a low whine, almost lost in the wind. Then Maul's speeder erupts from behind a dune, engine screaming, cloak whipping, yellow eyes locked on his prey. He launches off a ridge in a dust cloud as, in one smooth motion, the double-bladed lightsaber ignites. Two crimson blades flaring to life like the teeth of some ancient predator. But this time, Qui-Gon is not alone. Dooku has already turned, hand on his hilt. The Force has been screaming at him since that red eye lit up. The first clash happens in a heartbeat as Maul lands, twin blades spinning, green meets red, then blue snaps to life beside it. The three of them collide in a storm of light as the sand explodes around their feet. The rock under their boots is rough and uneven, more like a broken platform than solid ground. Dooku slides to the left, his Makashi form razor-thin and precise, blade always at the shortest, most efficient angle. Qui-Gon pushes forward with heavy, committed Ataru strikes, using his weight, using momentum, forcing Maul to give ground. Maul answers with pure aggression, Juyo acrobatics, flipping over a ridge as his saber whirls in a red circle around him. Anakin freezes near a rock outcropping, eyes wide. For Anakin, this is a nightmare he's already seen end in blood. He watches the way Maul's shoulders coil before every lunge, the way that double blade dips low before the spin that killed Qui-Gon on Naboo. His heart is pounding as the three figures blur together. "Master, high guard, now," Anakin screams, voice cracking. Qui-Gon doesn't question it. As Maul whips into that familiar low spin, Qui-Gon jumps back instead of bracing forward. The killing strike hisses through empty air, missing his ribs by inches. Dooku's eyes narrow. That was not luck. Dooku shifts, testing Maul's guard with a sudden flurry, probing wrist, elbow, throat. Sparks fly as their blades lock together while sand whips around them. In that instant of contact, Dooku feels it through the Force, through the fury in Maul's strikes. Not a fallen Jedi, not a common assassin. Sith. He breaks the lock and glances at Qui-Gon for half a second. "This is no mere dark Jedi," he growls. "He's trained in the old ways, Maul feels it too. Two masters, one of them reading his form like an open book, a child shouting counters to his favorite combinations. The odds are shifting, so he changes the game. With a snarl, Maul thrusts out a hand. The Force slams into the surrounding wreckage. Scraps of pod racer parts, loose rocks, and a wave of sand explode upward, turning the battlefield into a blinding storm. Anakin throws his arms over his face as grit stings his skin. Dooku and Qui-Gon both brace, cloaks whipping, senses straining through the haze. By the time the sand settles, Maul is already sprinting back to his speeder, cloak trailing. His engines roar to life, and he vanishes over the next dune, nothing left but twin scars of repulsor tracks. The desert is suddenly quiet. Qui-Gon and Dooku stand side by side, sabers still lit, breathing hard. They exchange a long, grave look. No words at first, just the shared understanding that the Sith are not gone. They have returned to the galaxy. We'll report this to the Council, Qui-Gon finally says. They must know. Dooku nods, but his thoughts are racing faster than any speeder. If Sidious is already moving, if the hunt has begun now, then the timeline he remembers shattering. Order 66, Camino, Geonosis. All of it could come sooner, harder, worse. And as he turns back toward the ship, watching young Skywalker stare at the empty dunes, Dooku realizes something else. The Force didn't just revive them to survive Maul. It might have thrown them here to break Sidious's plan entirely, but to do that, they'll have to decide how much truth the Jedi Order can handle, and how fast. That decision is coming on Coruscant, and the Council is not ready. Even after everything, that decision on Coruscant is coming later. Right now, the Force is dragging Anakin back to the first decision that ever broke him. Our story begins again in that small, sand-worn hut. Same shadows on the wall, same hum of the desert wind. But this time, when Qui-Gon tells Shmi that Anakin has a great destiny, young Skywalker is staring at his mother like he's seeing a ghost he already watched die. His hands shake. His voice doesn't. He forces it not to. As he tells her, "I'm going with them," there's a tremor in the Force that only Dooku and Qui-Gon feel, like a string pulled too tight. The scene plays almost word for word, like the Phantom Menace, but the weight behind each line is different, heavier. For Anakin, he remembers the screams, the Tuscans, the red blade in his hand, the way the rage felt good. That memory slams into him as Shmi smiles and says she's proud. For a second, he can't breathe. Anakin hugs her, harder than before, clinging like he's hanging from a platform over a lava river again, and she's the only thing keeping him from falling. "I'll come back for you," he whispers. Not a hopeful promise, a vow. "Soon. I don't care what the Jedi say. I'll free you. I swear it." Qui-Gon's eyes narrow. That's not the gentle attachment of a boy leaving home. That's the steel of a man who has already broken rules and bodies for love. Dooku is watching from the doorway, half in shadow, arms folded as he studies them. Master and apprentice, mother and son, all standing on another invisible edge that could tilt the galaxy. Pattern interrupt here. Dooku almost steps in. He almost tells Shmi everything, that her son becomes Vader, that the Jedi will sense his fear but never heal it, that Sidious will use this exact wound to crack him in half. But he stops. If he interferes now, does he save Anakin or just move the fall to a different cliff? Instead, he watches the boy. He recognizes that look, the same fierce, possessive love that once tied him to his own lost family, the same thread Sidious later twisted into chains. He thinks, not for the first time, that the prophecy was never about power, but about whether this child can love without burning. Shmi doesn't know the details, but she feels the storm. A mother always does. There's a shadow behind Anakin's eyes that wasn't there yesterday, like he's already seen years of war. She cups his face, searching him. For a moment, she almost asks, "What happened to you?" She doesn't. Instead, she chooses faith in the Jedi, in Qui-Gon, in the will of the Force that brought these strangers to her door twice in one lifetime. "My place is here," she says again, voice steady. "Now go, my son. Be brave." Anakin walks toward the ship. Each step feels wrong, too familiar. The ramp lowers. The engines roar. He turns back one last time and locks eyes with her, every nightmare of that Tusken camp burning in his mind. This time, he swears silently, the Tuskens will never touch her, no matter what rules he has to break, no matter what the Council says. As the ship lifts off, the Force shudders around him, already rewriting paths the Jedi can't see, and Dooku realizes their next moves will decide whether that vow saves Shmi or damns the Order even faster. Let's get right into it on the flight to Coruscant, because the Council is about to meet a very different Skywalker, even after everything. The silver Naboo cruiser cuts through hyperspace, and then, with a flash, Coruscant explodes into view. An endless city, rivers of light, towers that stab straight into the clouds as Queen Amidala's ship begins its descent. Far below the landing lanes, in a high-rise senatorial apartment, Sheev Palpatine stands at a wide, transparisteel window. The skyline glitters around him, speeders weave between platforms like fireflies. He's not looking at any of it, he's quietly rehearsing lines. Every word is a blade he plans to sink into the Senate. Our situation has become desperate, Chancellor. The bureaucracy is not merely slow, it is weaponized against my people. He paces as he speaks, one hand folded in front of him, the other raised in just the right, humble gesture. He can already see Valorum stammering, the cameras turning, the galaxy watching, as Naboo becomes his springboard to power. Then he stops. Mid-sentence, Palpatine's eyes narrow. The words dry up in his throat. There is a ripple, very faint, very far, but it cuts across his awareness like a scratch across glass. The force shifts around him as the Naboo ship approaches orbit, and for the first time in years, his perfect calm is not entirely his own. He feels Maul, angry, frustrated, wounded pride crackling like static. More than that, he feels other currents. A Jedi presence that tastes familiar but wrong. Dooku, but not the Dooku he expects at this point in the game. Intentions altered, path bent, and beneath it all, a blazing newborn star of power on Tatooine that should still be dim. Anakin Skywalker, mind awake in a way the boy should not yet understand. Palpatine exhales slowly and lets the disturbance pass through him. On the outside, nothing changes. The kind, slightly tired politician's smile returns to his face as he turns from the window. Inside, Darth Sidious is already adjusting. If Maul engaged multiple Jedi this early, if Dooku is somehow in play, that means his timetable is being pushed whether he likes it or not, so he will push back. Very well, no more gentle nudges. When Amidala arrives, he will press harder, faster. He will feed her outrage, sharpen her fear, drive her straight toward that vote of no confidence in Valorum. If the board is moving, then he will simply make his jump sooner. Cut away to the shadowed hollow projector chamber. Maul kneels, hood lowered, yellow eyes burning, as Sidious' towering blue image flickers above him. The Zabrak reports his failure to kill or capture the Jedi on Tatooine, his duel disrupted by an unexpected master, and a strange intensity in the boy. Sidious' voice is soft, but the anger beneath it is cold. Maul has disappointed him. Yet when Maul mentions Dooku, when he describes a presence that felt like a seasoned warrior rather than a simple knight, Sidious leans in. This he did not foresee, not now, not here. The call ends, the chamber goes dark, and in the silence, Palpatine smiles for real this time. A boy with this much power, this early, a prophecy, a disturbance even he did not plan for. For Anakin, the path was always going to be dangerous, but now Sidious decides he will meet the child from Tatooine personally and soon, because if the Chosen One is stepping onto the board ahead of schedule, Sidious intends to be the first one to reach out his hand. Hope you guys enjoy where this is going, because the moment Palpatine lays eyes on Anakin, that is our story for today, about to twist even harder. Sidious is moving, Anakin is in play far too early, and our story begins again inside the High Council chamber on Coruscant. The air is still, the light is cold. In the center of the circle stand four figures who should never have shared this moment together: Dooku, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and a small, wide-eyed Anakin Skywalker, who carries the weight of Vader's memories in a child's frame. Their robes are dusty from Naboo, their faces are set, and between their words, the Force hums with the echo of Maul's red blade. Qui-Gon finishes his report first. The duel in the Theed hangar, the acrobatics, the double-bladed lightsaber, how the Zabrak's power felt like a wound in the galaxy itself. Obi-Wan adds the details, the way Maul fought like a warrior trained only to kill Jedi, how there was no hesitation, no fear, only purpose. When Dooku finally speaks, his voice cuts through the chamber like a lightsaber through smoke. "The Sith have returned," he says, leaving no room for debate. Not rumors, not shadows. A trained assassin, steeped in the dark side, sent to intercept a queen under Senate protection. You have insisted for decades that the Sith were extinct. That belief has blinded us. The words hang there. Mace Windu's eyes narrow, Yoda's ears tilt forward, his presence like a calm storm. They both feel the truth. They both feel Maul's hatred lingering on Obi-Wan's skin, on Anakin's nervous breathing, as the boy remembers another life where that same hatred forged Vader on a river of lava. Grave, this is, Yoda admits. Sith, this warrior was. Two there always are. No more, no less. Mace follows, steady, confident, assuming the Order can jump to meet this new threat as it always has. Will find his master. 2 Sith against 1,000 Jedi is not a war, Master Dooku, it's a hunt. Dooku doesn't bow this time. He steps closer instead. His cape shifts. His eyes burn, not with anger at them, but at everything he knows is coming if they stay asleep. You think this is only 2 blades in the dark. I tell you it is a design. The Trade Federation does not blockade a world alone. Someone in the Senate shields them. Someone twists procedure, controls votes, hides armies in plain sight. That is where the Sith's true power lies. Several masters shift in their seats. Talk of corruption is uncomfortable. Talk of the Senate being compromised feels like betrayal. Ki-Adi-Mundi pushes back, insisting that the Republic has checks, that no single senator could orchestrate such a plot. Even after everything Dooku has seen in his other life, they still cling to the image of a noble republic. Yoda raises a hand, ending the argument before it becomes open defiance. They will investigate. They will watch the Senate. They will send Jedi to quietly trace the money, the votes, the worlds that suddenly fall in line with Naboo's attackers. On the surface, it sounds like victory, but as Dooku leaves the chamber, Anakin and Obi-Wan trailing behind, his expression hardens. Even the confirmed return of the Sith has not shattered their faith in the system. He feels the same slow drift toward disaster, the same blind spots, the same polite denial, and as the doors close behind him, he realizes something terrifying. If the Council will not truly change, then the next move in this game may have to come from outside their circle, and the Sith are not the only ones willing to break the rules. Hope you guys enjoy where this is going, because the next decision Dooku makes could save the Council or shatter it first. And while Dooku is wrestling with what move to make next, the other piece on the board is already being judged. Anakin Skywalker stands in the center of the Jedi Council chamber, same circle of masters, same tall windows, looking out over Coruscant and the endless galaxy, but this time, the boy on the floor is not wide-eyed. He's breathing slow, shoulders relaxed. For Anakin, this feels like walking back into a dream he already survived. They test him, the floating hollows, the quiet questions, the way Mace and Ki-Adi-Mundi watch every twitch of his face. He calls each image before they speak, but not with the frantic eagerness of a child trying to impress. He just answers. Calm, precise. The Force flows through him as he does, and that quiet confidence makes a few of the masters shift in their seats. Yoda narrows his eyes. He remembers this moment. He remembers fear, but what he feels now is layered, older, as if some echo of Vader is standing behind the boy, and yet the light in Anakin's aura is somehow brighter than before. Then, they reach the question they think will break him. Yoda's voice is soft. What is it that you fear? Anakin doesn't look away. He doesn't stammer. He doesn't pretend he doesn't know. He answers like someone who has watched his whole life burn. He says he fears losing his mother. He fears losing the people he loves. Padme's face flashes through his mind. Luke and Leia he hasn't even met yet in this timeline. Obi-Wan on a burning platform above a river of lava, but then he adds something new. He says he also fears what he might become if he lets that fear control him. The words hang there, short, heavy, longer in their echo than in the sound. The Council feels it. Yoda closes his eyes, following that line of thought down all the paths he knows. Attachment to fear, fear to anger, anger to hate, hate to suffering. The classic chain toward the dark side is right there, exposed. But wrapped around it, he senses something he did not sense before. A raw, painful self-awareness. Yoda warns him anyway. The path of fear leads to shadow, easy to fall, hard to return. Even after everything Yoda has seen, this boy feels like a storm that could still go either way, and that's when Anakin breaks the pattern. He lifts his chin and very carefully asks the Council what they fear, not in defiance, in challenge. Do they fear change? Do they fear the Senate? Or is it possible they fear that the Jedi have already failed the galaxy and simply haven't realized it yet? The room goes still. No one was ready for the prophecy to talk back. Masters glance at each other. Mace's jaw tightens. Ki-Adi-Mundi looks looks away first. Yoda studies Anakin like he's seeing a new kind of vergence, not just in the Force, but in the Order itself. The scene ends in uneasy silence, and we understand something crucial. This Anakin is not going to sit quietly and let others decide his fate. He will not be a passive child of prophecy, and the next time they try to control him, the Council might discover just how far this new Skywalker is willing to go. Hope you guys enjoy where this is heading, because the next test Anakin faces will not be inside the temple walls. The next test doesn't come with a lightsaber, it comes with a smile. Coruscant looms outside the viewport as Amidala's sleek ship pierces the clouds. The landing platform is crowded with guards, handmaidens, and advisors. Our story begins here as the ramp lowers, and among the sea of robes and polished boots, one small figure walks with a stiffness that doesn't fit his age. Anakin Skywalker steps onto the platform and feels the Force twist like a warning siren because he knows exactly who is waiting for them. Senator Palpatine approaches with that familiar, practiced warmth. Hands spread, voice soft, every inch the loyal servant of Naboo. The air tastes metallic to Anakin, like Mustafar's ash without the lava. The Force hums around this man, dark and oily, and for Anakin, it's like staring straight at the ghost of Darth Sidious wrapped in polite smiles. He wants to ignite a blade right there. He wants to end it before the galaxy burns. But he is 9 years old again. No lightsaber, no proof. Just memories of a throne room, and lightning, and his own mechanical breathing. So he bows instead, the way he once bowed to a chancellor he thought was a friend. Ah, and this must be young Anakin Skywalker, Palpatine says, eyes crinkling as he studies the boy. His tone is light, his mind is not. He reaches out through the Force as easily as extending a hand, brushing against Anakin's presence, searching for fear, for hunger, for that raw need for power he once fanned into Vader. He finds something else. Anakin lets him in just enough. He shows a flicker of awe, a touch of nervousness, but behind it there is a wall, smooth and cold, like a sealed blast door on a burning platform. Palpatine feels years of discipline, where there should be only childish impulse, and for a heartbeat he is genuinely intrigued. I heard about your pod race. Palpatine continues, layering on praise. Such bravery, such potential. The galaxy needs heroes like you. The words are honey, the same lines he used before, because why change a script that worked? Anakin looks up with wide eyes, playing the role he once lived. Thank you, Senator. I just hope the people in charge are as brave as they say, and not, the kind who talk about helping and then do something else when no one's looking. The platform goes quiet in Palpatine's head. It's subtle, a child's comment on the surface, but the barb is sharp. The Force ripples as Anakin tests him, watching every twitch of muscle in that carefully controlled face. For Anakin, this is a different kind of duel, blades traded for words, trying to see if the Sith Lord behind the mask will flinch. Palpatine doesn't, not outwardly. He lets out a soft chuckle, masking the way his senses sharpen. Politics can be complicated, my boy, but I assure you, my only wish is to serve. Inside, though, he files away the boy's insight, the guardedness that doesn't match his age, and he decides this must be what a true chosen one feels like. Intense, unreadable, dangerous. They stand there, two actors on a grand stage, and they both smile. Anakin silently vows that this time he will never kneel. Palpatine quietly promises that this time he will break the boy even faster. And as they walk toward the Senate's towering halls, a far more twisted psychological duel begins, one that will decide whether the Force's second chance saves the Republic or destroys it even sooner. Let's get right into it in the next part, because even after everything, Sidious is not the only enemy waiting in those halls. Sidious walks into the Senate as the worried junior senator from Naboo. Dooku walks in as the only man in the galaxy who knows that same gentle voice will one day order the death of every Jedi. The Great Chamber roars, floating pods glide. Blue light washes over a sea of faces as Palpatine pleads for sympathy for his beleaguered world. Dooku stands in the shadows of the Jedi observation balcony, hands folded, watching every tiny movement. Our story begins here for him, not with a lightsaber drawn, but with a quiet hunt master and future Sith Lord, now playing detective in the heart of the storm. He studies the way Palpatine lets others speak the harsh words, how he looks pained at the mention of sanctions, how he times each pause so the cameras love him. In Dooku's memories, this same man smiles over Order 66 reports, watches clones cut down Skywalker's friends, and speaks of security as Jedi temples burn. The contrast is almost sickening. It is also proof of how dangerous this performance is. Between sessions, Dooku moves like a ghost through old corridors. Senators who once called him idealist now greet him with cautious respect. Over quiet cups of lum and in private office alcoves, he asks simple questions. Has anyone noticed strange voting blocks forming around trade issues? Has the Trade Federation's lobbying grown more aggressive? Are there new security committees being proposed off the official record? Each answer is small, harmless on its own, but as he listens, patterns from his future click into place. Names surface: banking clan envoys, techno-union representatives, a young, ambitious Nemoidian aide. Dooku files them away, remembering the war to come, remembering droid armies marching under their banners. When he returns to the temple, he does not meditate. He breaks rules. Late at night, he stands before a hollow terminal in the Jedi archives, cloak drawn tight. Jocasta Nu would be furious if she knew which clearance codes he was using. Dooku pulls restricted intelligence reports, shipping audits, intercepted Trade Federation chatter. He cross-references them with his memories of separatist councils, of secret meetings where his future self promised them power. Line by line, system by system, he watches the map of the future Confederacy flicker into existence years too early. Every thread he pulls bends back toward Naboo, toward one soft-spoken senator. Yet there is no recording of a hooded Sith, no hollow of a red blade igniting, nothing he can take to the Council without sounding insane. If he accuses Palpatine now, he risks shattering the Republic on nothing but visions and memories of a life that technically never happened. So Dooku makes a different choice. If he cannot expose Sidious yet, he will counter him. He will be on Naboo before the next move, even if it means bending Jedi rules in ways his future self would approve of. And as he sets that course, he has no idea that on that same world, a young Anakin Skywalker is already feeling the Force pull him toward a very different path, because the next move in this game will not be Sidious alone. Dooku's ship knifes through hyperspace toward the mid-rim. Naboo waits. But this time, the planet isn't just a battlefield in a trade dispute, it's the board on which the Force itself has reset the entire game. In the quiet of the cockpit, Amidala has already made her choice. She will not hide behind Senate procedure. She will return to Naboo, rally her people, and take back her world. Our story begins here, as Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Dooku, and a very different Anakin Skywalker stand with her, all of them now fully aware that this blockade is only the surface of a much darker Sith design. Qui-Gon stares at the swirling blue of hyperspace. Dooku stands beside him, cloak gathered, voice low. They speak not as distant master and rebellious former Padawan, but as generals who have seen the same storm. They dissect Maul's movements, his acrobatics, the way his double-bladed lightsaber controlled space, how he used the environment like a shifting platform under their feet. This time, they will not underestimate him. This time, they plan for a second blade hidden behind the first. Anakin sits a few rows back, listening. Small hands, huge memories. He remembers this flight. He remembers the smell of the cockpit, the hum of the hyperdrive, the way his heart pounded when he climbed into a starfighter and somehow survived. He remembers spinning through space, blowing up the droid control ship almost by accident. But more than anything, he remembers the hangar, the red face, the flash of a Sith blade, Qui-Gon falling. For Anakin, that image is welded to Mustafar, to lava, to another duel, to another mentor broken on the ground because he was too late. He grips the armrest until his knuckles go white, feeling the Force swirl around him. Not this time. He will not watch Qui-Gon die again. He will not let this be the first step toward Vader. The ship drops out of hyperspace over Naboo. The planet glows, serene and green, a world that has no idea the galaxy is about to pivot on its surface. As they descend, Dooku is already shifting roles, the warrior giving way to the diplomat who once walked Senate halls with Yoda's blessing. The Gungan sacred place rises from the mist much like in canon, but the energy is different. When Amidala kneels, offering herself and her people, Dooku steps forward with a fluid bow that matches Boss Nass's own gravity. His voice carries respect, not condescension. He names ancient Gungan Gungan victories, obscure treaties, moments only a true student of galactic history would know. The Gungans see a Jedi Master who actually understands them, and the alliance forms faster, trust built not just on need, but on honor. Back in Theed, the war table flickers to life. Holograms of droid columns, shield generators, and hangar bays paint their options. The plan forms: space assault to knock out the control ship, Gungan ground forces to draw the droids, a palace strike team to capture the Viceroy. It all sounds familiar, until Dooku adds one more piece. He traces a path on the hologram, a secondary route through maintenance shafts and energy corridors, a kill box, a cage. He explains calmly that the Sith will not ignore such a convergence of Jedi, royalty, and risk. Maul will come, so they will give him something new, not just a duel, but a trap designed to capture him alive. Even after everything, Dooku is done reacting to Sidious's moves. On Naboo, for the first time, they intend to take the Sith Lord's apprentice off the board, and if they succeed, the entire future of the Clone Wars may never happen at all. Maul is the bait, Naboo is the board. But right now, Anakin Skywalker is looking up at the hangar full of starfighters, and realizing the Force is handing him a different kind of duel. The yellow Naboo N1s gleam under the palace lights, pilots rush, astromechs whistle. The floor hums as power flows into repulsors and cannons. Our story begins this time, not with an oops, as a kid hits the wrong button, but with Anakin stepping forward on purpose. "I'm going up there," he says. Simple, steady, no nervous laugh, no accident, just a decision. Qui-Gon turns. The Jedi Master studies him, really studies him, as alarms echo through the hangar. In the original timeline, Anakin stumbled into a cockpit and let the Force improvise. Here, he's trying to rewrite that moment with his eyes open. "My reflexes from pod racing," Anakin explains, already walking toward the nearest starfighter as if the deck is just another Tatooine track. "Low gravity, tight turns, systems failing all the time. I can handle this, and I can feel the droids up there through the Force. I did this before. I can do it again, better." Dooku's gaze sharpens at that last word, again. Qui-Gon moves to block him. Short step, short breath, longer silence as the Master weighs duty against destiny. "Anakin, this battle is not a game. The space above this world will be a killing field. You are still a boy." Anakin doesn't flinch. "I was a boy when I won the Boonta Master. I was a boy when I saved Padme. The droid control ship is the key. If their fighters overwhelm us, Maul wins before you ever ignite a lightsaber. Let me do what I'm good at." As the pilots climb their ladders, Dooku drifts closer, cloak trailing like a shadow from another life. "You said you did this before?" he murmurs, low enough that only Anakin hears. "Explain." Anakin swallows. This is the line he's been walking since the Force dragged him back from Vader and lava. "I've seen this battle, in dreams, since I was little. The hangar, the fighters, the ringed ship in orbit, me flying into its hangar, the explosions, every detail." He forces his voice calm. "The Force shows me things. For Anakin, that's always been true." Dooku half believes him, half doesn't. The precision sounds less like a dream, more like a memory, like a man standing again on a platform he already fell from. But whatever the source, power is power, and the galaxy doesn't get many second chances. "What do you intend up there?" Dooku asks. "Not just to blow it up," Anakin answers. "To come back. I have to survive this. I have to free my mother. If I die over Naboo, she dies a slave on Tatooine. That's my objective." The words are quiet, but they hit harder than any cannon. Qui-Gon hears that. He sees the fire in Skywalker's eyes, the same fire that will one day glare at Obi-Wan on Mustafar if no one changes this path. He looks to Dooku. Dooku gives the smallest nod. Trust the will of the Force, even after everything. Moments later, Anakin climbs the ladder. The cockpit closes around him with a hiss. Hands on the controls. No shaking, no guessing, just focus. This time, he whispers to himself as the engines roar to life, "I'm not leaving anything to chance. I'm going to fly exactly where destiny needs me to." And above Naboo, the future waits for him to pull the trigger. Above Naboo, Anakin Skywalker races toward the droid control ship. Below Naboo, a very different battle is about to rewrite the fate of the galaxy. Down in the Theed Power Generator Complex, our story begins again. The humming pillars, the bottomless shafts, the narrow catwalks that feel one bad jump away from oblivion. Queen Amidala and her escort hurry across the platforms as red energy beams pulse in the distance like a heartbeat. And then, from the shadows, Maul steps forward. The horns, the yellow eyes, the slow prowl as his cloak falls away. This time, when he ignites his double-bladed lightsaber, it's not just Qui-Gon and young Obi-Wan who step forward. Another green blade snaps to life beside them, elegant and controlled. Count Dooku, restored and younger, moves to the front line with his old apprentice and his future Grand Padawan. 3 generations, 1 Sith assassin. The Force itself seems to hold its breath. They charge. Maul spins his staff into a red blur as the 3 Jedi crash into him. Dooku leads with precise thrusts, his curved hilt carving clean lines, controlling space, and forcing Maul back toward the edge. Qui-Gon follows with heavy, deliberate strikes, hammering at Maul's guard as sparks fly off the railings. Obi-Wan darts around them, fast footwork and sudden jumps, trying to flank, his blue blade stabbing in at every opening. The 2 of them have Maul's saber locked high as Obi-Wan cuts low at his legs. Maul flips over all 3, landing behind them as the platform shakes under his boots. He whirls, attacking Dooku first, sensing the cold authority in his stance. Red and blue clash in tight, fencing-like exchanges as green and blue crash in from the sides, the 3 Jedi moving almost like a single organism. For a moment, Maul is actually on the defensive. He kicks Obi-Wan away, takes a heavy hit from Qui-Gon on his staff, and barely twists aside from a lethal thrust from Dooku that would have ended the fight right there. Even after everything, Dooku's mastery is terrifying up close, but the environment is still Naboo, still cruel. As they fight across the catwalk, the timing of the energy barriers comes back into play. The red shields slam down with a thunderous hum, only this time, the order is different. Obi-Wan is cut off at the rear, forced to skid to a stop as a barrier flares inches from his face. Ahead of him, on the next platform, Maul paces like a caged animal. Sharing that tiny killing ground with him are Qui-Gon and Dooku, trapped together between the next set of shields. No way back, no way forward. Obi-Wan can only watch. Inside the barrier, the tempo changes. No more flanking, no more 3-on-1. Dooku narrows his stance, his blade a viper striking in short, brutal lines. Qui-Gon anchors the center, taking the brunt of Maul's power strikes, his green saber absorbing those heavy blows. Maul adapts. He feints toward Dooku, then whirls with savage speed. There's a flash of red, a sickening impact, and one of the masters goes flying hard into the deck, saber skittering away. We don't see who. Obi-Wan screams their name as the barrier hums between them, and in that frozen instant, the question hangs over the entire saga: is this where fate repeats itself, or finally breaks? Hope you guys enjoy where this is heading, because what happens next will change everything for Anakin, even down here, far from the lava and the mask. Let's get right into it in the next part, and in that frozen instant, fate finally breaks. The red blade doesn't punch through Qui-Gon's chest, it slams sideways, screeching against metal and flesh, as Count Dooku appears between them in a blur of brown robes and crimson light. Maul's brutal strike drives straight into Dooku's side instead, burning through fabric, biting into bone, exactly where Dooku saw it in a dozen nightmares since the Force dragged him back. For a heartbeat, everything stops. Qui-Gon staggers. Maul snarls, surprised his killing blow met a different target. Dooku exhales, a ragged, pained sound, but his eyes are calm. He's been here before, in visions. He knew this platform, he knew this angle, and this time, he chose to move. The hum of the barrier returns as Obi-Wan watches, stunned, from behind it. The rock platform shudders under their boots as Dooku twists, his own red lightsaber catching Maul's hilt, dragging the Zabrak offline. It's not a clean parry, it's a sacrifice. He takes the full wound, so Qui-Gon doesn't. Now, Qui-Gon, Dooku forces out, voice tight with pain. Qui-Gon's green blade snaps up, short, precise. He isn't trying to overpower Maul, he's trying to survive. Maul lunges, furious, pressing his advantage as Dooku drops to one knee, one hand clamped over the smoking hole in his side. The 2 of them have their blades locked together as the platform vibrates, as sparks rain down from the generator above. Then, the pattern truly breaks. Obi-Wan doesn't arrive to avenge a dead master. He arrives to save 2 living ones. The barrier drops. Obi-Wan explodes forward, blue lightsaber igniting mid-jump, his boots skidding across the metal as he crashes into Maul from behind. For Anakin, years from now, this moment will echo on Mustafar, but here, the outcome is different. Master and apprentice, brothers in all but blood, now fighting side by side instead of one dying in the other's arms. Maul whirls, double-bladed saber spinning, but he's suddenly outnumbered. Qui-Gon presses from the front, heavy, grounded strikes. Obi-Wan darts in and out, faster, sharper, their rhythm instinctive. Dooku, bleeding, still reaches out with the Force, a subtle tug on Maul's ankle at the worst possible time. Maul overextends. Obi-Wan's blade flashes, one end of the Sith's lightsaber shears off. Spinning into the abyss, Qui-Gon steps in, disarming cut, then a brutal pommel strike to Maul's jaw. Obi-Wan follows with a force push that slams the Zabrak into the wall. His head cracks the Durasteel. The red tattoos vanish behind unconscious eyes. The Sith lives. His lightsaber clatters away. The future shudders. Dooku collapses fully now, robes spreading across the platform like a dark pool. Blood seeps between his fingers. He looks up at Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, at Maul's unconscious form, and actually smiles. "One tragedy," he whispers, breath shallow, undone. Pattern interrupt. We cut hard to space. Anakin Skywalker grips the controls of the N1 starfighter, far steadier than in canon. The droid control ship looms ahead, and this time, his attack run isn't an accident. The Force flows through him, clear and focused, guiding his hands as he weaves between turbo laser fire. He doesn't spin out of control. He doesn't accidentally fly into the hangar. He chooses it. Anakin lines up the shot as the platform of the hangar floor races beneath him. Proton torpedoes streak out, not wild, not lucky, but deliberate. They slam into the core. Fire erupts, blooming outward like a small sun. Down on Naboo, the droid army freezes mid-step. Blasters lower, metal bodies topple. Gungans cheer as the mechanical tide simply shuts down around them. Back in Theed, as celebrations begin, the Jedi stand over an unconscious, living Sith assassin and a barely conscious, living Qui-Gon Jinn. Two impossible survivors, two captured secrets. And somewhere in the currents of the Force, the future of the entire galaxy bends away from Vader's mask and the lava towards something no prophecy ever fully saw. That is our story for today in this section, and even after everything they've lived through, Anakin and Dooku have only just started to break destiny. Hope you guys enjoy where this is going, because the fallout from keeping Maul and Qui-Gon alive is going to hit the Jedi like a shockwave in the next part. We cut forward on Naboo. The battle is over, but the real damage is only starting to show. In a quiet medical wing, away from the cheering streets, Dooku lies on a repulsor bed as white-armored medical droids work over him. Cauterized burns, cracked ribs, the echo of Maul's blade still burning in his side. Monitors hum softly. Sterile light washes over everything as Qui-Gon sits at his former master's side, one hand resting on the rail, the other absently brushing his own singed robes. For a long moment they don't speak. The Force between them is heavy, but not in the way it was on that plasma platform. Master and apprentice, once separated by politics, now bound again by the way Dooku threw himself between Maul and Qui-Gon's heart. Qui-Gon finally breaks the silence, admitting he thought he was going to lose Dooku all over again. Dooku answers with a tired smile, saying he thought the same, and that something larger than either of them moved his feet in that instant. He describes it like being back on Geonosis and on the Invisible Hand at the same time, feeling the future pressing down, feeling Anakin's fear, feeling Sidious's shadow. The Force didn't just nudge him, it shoved him into that blade. For Anakin, for the galaxy, for a timeline that refuses to stay dead. Across the city, the mood is very different. Deep beneath Theed, in a hastily reinforced cell, Darth Maul kneels in heavy restraints. Durasteel cuffs, energy binders, a collar that dampens his connection to his lightsaber. His yellow eyes burn. His presence is like a wound in the Force. Naboo guards stand farther away than they need to, fingers tight on their blasters, as if they can feel that if he ever gets free, someone is going to die before they can even jump for the alarm. Jedi stand outside the field, arguing in low, tense voices. A living Sith, not a legend, not a rumor, a breathing answer to 1,000 council debates. Some insist he must be taken to Coruscant immediately. Others fear what his very presence might do to the younglings. A brave few whisper that if Anakin Skywalker can come back from Vader, maybe even this creature can be turned. Dooku, propped up on the medbay bed later, cuts through that hope like a blade. He tells the gathered Jedi they must strip Maul's mind bare. Names, worlds, a master who hides behind a senator's smile. Every scrap of Sidious' plan ripped out before the Sith can react. And speaking of that senator, on the palace balcony, Palpatine smiles for the holocams. He praises Amidala. He praises the Jedi. He calls Naboo's liberation a sign that the Republic still has power. But behind the practiced warmth, his thoughts are cold and focused. Maul has failed. Worse, Maul has been taken. As the crowd chants his name, Palpatine is already building contingencies, seeing two paths in front of him: a quiet assassination inside a Naboo cell, or a masterful spin that turns a captured Sith into proof that the galaxy needs stronger, more centralized security under him. Hours later, the noise fades. The medbay is dim. Anakin slips in, still in his child's body, but carrying every scar of Vader inside his mind. He stands at Dooku's bedside, eyes flicking over the bandages, the machines, the hand that saved Qui-Gon instead of cutting him down. Dooku tells him they won. Anakin shakes his head. They only survived the opening move. He can feel Sidious's anger boiling somewhere far away, like lava under stone. Dooku agrees. This was a single battle. The war that broke them both is still coming, just in a different shape. They share a quiet promise. Next time, they won't walk into it blind. Next time, the Chosen One and the Fallen Count will be ready together. Hope you guys enjoy where this is building, because the question of what to actually do with a caged Sith Lord is about to tear open the Jedi Council in the next section. And even after everything, Maul is not done changing their destiny. The promise doesn't stay quiet for long. Our story begins in the temple's deepest holding cells, where the air is cold and the lights are dim. Maul hangs in a magnetic restraint field, arms spread, legs bound, his tattoos stark under the harsh glow. The hum of the field is the only sound as Dooku steps forward, Anakin and Qui-Gon at his flanks, and Mace Windu flickers into being as a blue hollow above the console. Maul glares at them. No fear, only fire. His lips curl back as he spits, promising Jedi corpses, promising a galaxy drowned in their failure. Every word is venom, every breath is hate. He calls Anakin half-formed, calls Dooku a traitor to power, calls Qui-Gon already dead in every future that matters. The Jedi let him rage. Then Dooku speaks. His voice is calm, almost gentle. He talks about the Sith Code, about passion, strength, power, victory. He recites it like an old prayer as the others watch, as Maul's eyes narrow, confused that a Jedi knows these words so well. Dooku steps closer as the field crackles round Maul's skin, and he asks the question that cuts deeper than any lightsaber blade. What happens, my young Zabrak, when your master decides your passion is replaceable? Maul snarls that Sidious will rule, that together they will grind the Jedi into the lava and ash of a dying age. But Dooku just tilts his head, and for Anakin, for Obi-Wan, for every memory of the Clone Wars, he twists the knife. He describes a broken Maul on a trash world. He describes a discarded weapon, crawling back to relevance through crime lords and shadows, while Sidious trains a new favorite. Abandoned, Dooku says softly, even after everything you gave him. That word lands. Maul lunges against the field as it flares, teeth bared, a raw roar tearing out of him. In that anger, his control slips. Words spill, not full confessions, but fragments. A shadow in the Senate, a voice that commands viceroys and guilds, coded names for corporate allies, trade federation fronts, banking clans that will one day fund droids and death. Anakin's stomach knots as Maul hisses about a coming war that won't be a war at all, just a script, cloned soldiers bred for obedience, a grand design where Jedi become generals, then traitors, then targets. He doesn't say Camino, he doesn't say Order 66, but the shape is there, and Dooku feels his own history folding in on itself. Mace, through the hollow, pushes hard. Qui-Gon shifts tactics, offering protection, even a chance to turn on Sidious first. Maul laughs, but the laughter is thinner now. They pull enough from him to know the Sith have their claws in the Republic's highest levels, that the Senate itself hides their enemy, yet not enough to name Palpatine. Not yet. On the other side of Coruscant, in a quiet office, Palpatine pauses mid-sentence. The Force shivers around him as Maul's loyalty wavers. Sidious closes his eyes, reaching out, tasting the interrogation through the bond with his apprentice. Information leaking, fear rising, options narrowing. If he cannot recover Maul, he will contain him. He will engineer an escape, or a death, or both at once. And as his yellow eyes open behind the kind smile of a senator, he begins to plan the moment this captured Sith simply disappears. Because if Maul talks one word too many, the entire game on Naboo might explode before it even begins. On Naboo, while Sidious sharpens his next move, the real fracture in the timeline happens somewhere much quieter. Anakin stops sleeping. Night after night, he wakes up choking on the phantom heat of Mustafar. He hears the roar of lava. He smells burning robes. He feels his own metal hand crushing a throat, a blue blade cutting down Jedi in a temple hallway full of screaming younglings. Skywalker, Vader, Monster, Chosen One. The titles all crash together until he can't breathe. One evening, he can't take it anymore. The celebrations in Theed are still going, music echoing through marble halls, but Anakin slips away. Small boots on cool stone. He follows the pull of the Force out into the palace gardens, where night air is soft and the fountains glow with reflected starlight. Qui-Gon is already there, sitting alone on a low bench beneath a curved arch of Naboo flowers. No council, no war, just a tired Jedi who never quite fits the mold, watching the galaxy sleep. Master Qui-Gon? Anakin's voice cracks a little. It's higher than he remembers it. Younger, too young for the things in his head. Qui-Gon looks over, and his expression shifts instantly from distant to present. Anakin, you should be with the others. I can't. The boy sits, shoulders tight, eyes fixed on the fountain. Water rises and falls in perfect arcs, like someone practicing the same jump over and over, never changing the ending. I keep seeing things. Pattern break. Up to now, this Anakin has been careful, playing the role of gifted slave boy, future Padawan, but the dam cracks. He tells Qui-Gon about visions, not memories. Visions of a possible future, where he wears black armor and a breathing mask, where his lightsaber is a red blade that cuts down Jedi he once called friends. He describes a temple in flames, clones turning on generals, a hooded Sith Lord on a Senate platform, as the Republic dies to thunderous applause. I help him, Anakin whispers. I become the thing he needs. I kill everyone, even after everything they did for me. He watches Qui-Gon carefully, waiting for laughter, for dismissal, for the word crazy. It never comes. Qui-Gon listens, really listens. Brow furrowed, hands still, the Force around him drawing tight and focused. He has seen vergences, mortis-like places, prophecies twisted by fear. For Anakin, these are not simple dreams. They feel like the Force screaming a warning about what happens if this boy is pushed, chained, turned into a weapon. Anakin, he says slowly, the future is always in motion. These visions, they may be what could happen, not what must happen. But what if I'm meant to be that? Qui-Gon turns to face him fully. You are not meant to be anyone's monster, not the Council's, not some hidden Siths, not even the Force's. You are Anakin Skywalker. His voice firms. I will not let them shape you into a prophecy instead of a person. He promises, right there in the garden, that he will stand between Anakin and any council decree that treats him like a tool. He will help him face fear and love and attachment honestly, not pretend they don't exist until they explode. The nightmares don't vanish. But as Anakin walks back toward the lights of Theed, the weight on his chest eases. For the first time since waking in this smaller body, he feels something Vader almost forgot. Hope. Because with Qui-Gon alive and on his side, maybe this time the story doesn't end on a burning platform over a river of lava. Maybe that is our story for today, but rewritten from the ground up. And as the night deepens, the Force itself seems to hold its breath, waiting to see whether master and apprentice can really break a destiny that once consumed the galaxy. Back on Coruscant, the hope Anakin felt on Naboo slams into cold marble and colder stairs. The Jedi Temple is quiet. Too quiet for a galaxy where a Sith has been captured alive, and the Chosen One just blew up a droid control ship. Our story begins in the circular council chamber. The city glows beyond the tall windows as Maul's binders hum softly in the Force. Far below in a sealed cell, the Masters sit in a ring, but nothing feels balanced. Not with Dooku leaning on a cane after his injury, Qui-Gon standing defiant at the center, and a 9-year-old Skywalker waiting outside those doors, listening to every vibration through the wall. Mace speaks first. His voice is firm, almost like a blade. Anakin's involvement in battle was reckless. His attachments to his mother, to Qui-Gon, to this sudden new life, are already burning too bright. Train him, Mace warns, and you give that fire a lightsaber. Leave him as he is, and you have a living weapon you cannot control. Qui-Gon doesn't back down. He steps forward as the chamber lights catch the lines on his face. Anakin acted to save lives. The Force guided him into that starfighter, not blind luck. For Anakin, leaving him untrained is not caution, it is negligence. Dooku, still aching from Maul's strikes, quietly agrees. He has seen what happens when gifted Force sensitives are ignored. They do not fade, they are found by someone else. The debate fractures the room. Some Masters fear another Vader rising from within their own walls, even after everything they've just learned from Anakin's haunted eyes. Others fear the shadow that sent Maul more. The Sith are back. The prophecy is in motion. Doing nothing is also a choice. Then the focus shifts. Maul, a living Sith assassin, silent in their cells like a coiled spring. One master argues for execution as a war criminal, a clean cut that removes the immediate threat. Another insists on indefinite imprisonment, a stasis field, and Durasteel forever between his blade and the galaxy. A third suggests using him as bait, letting whispers of his survival leak, drawing out the master Anakin and Dooku both know is hiding in the Senate. Every option is dangerous. Kill him, and you lose the one thread that might lead to Sidious. Cage him, and you risk corruption, escape, or the Jedi becoming jailers instead of guardians. Use him, and you dance on the edge of the dark, gambling lives on a trap you might not control. Through it all, Yoda is quieter than anyone has seen him in years. His ears droop slightly. His eyes stay half closed as he listens beyond the words. The Force itself feels different to him now, like a river whose current has suddenly changed direction. Visions come in broken flashes. Mustafar, a burning platform, Anakin in black armor, and then not. Timelines twisting like smoke he cannot grasp. Patterns he once trusted no longer hold. The Chosen One stands outside the door, reborn with memories that should not exist. Dooku, once his Padawan, speaks with knowledge of a future war that terrifies even him. The Force is in flux, and every decision feels like stepping onto a collapsing bridge. At last, a compromise forms. Fragile, but real. Anakin will be trained, but under strict supervision. Qui-Gon will take him as his Padawan, with Obi-Wan assigned as a stabilizing presence, almost like an older brother watching every jump toward danger. The Council will monitor them both closely, ready to intervene if that fire burns too hot. Maul will not be paraded or executed. Instead, he is to be transferred to a high-security Jedi facility buried deep in space, surrounded by layered Force seals and guards who rotate often, so no mind lingers too long in his shadow. His existence will be classified, his survival known only to a handful, and Dooku? Yoda turns to him with heavy reluctance. The Count will not return to Serenno just yet. Instead, he will lead a covert task force operating in the gray between Temple and Senate. Using the knowledge he carries from that broken future, he will quietly trace Sith influence through committees, budgets, and emergency powers, hunting the phantom called Sidious, where he hides best, in plain sight. The meeting ends, but no one feels victorious. As the doors open and Anakin steps in, small and determined, the Masters feel the weight of what they've set in motion. The Force has moved its pieces. The board is no longer the same, and somewhere below, in his cell, Maul smiles without knowing why, sensing that the real game has only just begun. Let's get right into it in the next part, where those decisions start to crack. Our story begins right where we left off, with the Council doors closing above and the real game shifting into the shadows below. While Anakin stands before the Masters, Dooku lies in a medbay deep inside the temple, wrapped in bacta and silence, feeling his older body slowly knit itself back together. His hands tremble at first, his lungs burn, but as the pain fades, something else rises. Not anger, not the cold ambition that once led him to become tyrannous. It's a hard, clear resolve. The Force did not drag him back from death just to sit in a council chamber and vote. It brought him back to move where the council will not. He walks the temple halls with a cane at first, then without one, feeling the power in his muscles return as he stretches out through the Force. He senses the Senate towers. He feels the Trade Federation's greed, the corporate cartels tightening around entire systems. He remembers how Sidious will twist all of this into the Clone Wars, into Order 66, into the moment Skywalker falls and becomes Vader. So Dooku makes a choice. He will remain a Jedi in name, robes, and lightsaber, but in practice, he will step outside the neat little lines the Council has drawn. Master and traitor, guardian and shadow, both at once. Quietly, he starts assembling a network, a healer from the archives who has seen too many war reports buried, a knight from the Outer Rim who knows how the cartels really operate, a former Republic investigator who was pushed out for digging too deep, even a smuggler captain whose ship once ran legitimate cargo for the banking clan. Jedi and non-Jedi, all willing to question the Senate to infiltrate the guilds and corporations that Sidious will one day own. Dooku sends encrypted messages to worlds that, in the old timeline, will become separatist strongholds. Serenno, Raxus, Onderon. He does not come as a cloaked Sith whispering promises of war. He arrives as a Jedi Count warning them of what is coming, speaking of a future where the Republic rots from within and their people become pawns. But to reach them, he lies. He forges clearance codes. He manipulates Senate schedules. Once, he brushes a weak-willed governor's mind with the Force, nudging him into signing a protection order. It is not a full mind trick, but it is a push, a coercion, the kind of edge he once used in Sidious service. In the quiet after, he feels it, that thin, cold line inside his chest. He is using deception, secrecy, even mild coercion, the very tools that dragged him toward the dark side before. Yet this time he tells himself it is for a righteous cause, to stop a darkness only he and Anakin truly understand. If the Council will not adapt, he decides, he will build a parallel structure, a hidden order inside the order, a network that can stand when Sidious' storm hits the galaxy, even if history brands him a traitor again. And as he ignites his blue blade alone in a training room, practicing forms that once led to war, he wonders, when the moment comes, will anyone be able to tell the difference between a shadow guarding the light and a Sith hiding in plain sight? Let's get right into it in the next part, where Dooku's secret moves finally collide with Anakin's second chance. Our story begins again, not with Anakin or Dooku, but with the third shadow they've already changed just by existing. Deep beneath the Jedi Temple, in a cell carved out of bright white light and humming energy fields, Darth Maul kneels alone. No chains, no visible guards, just the constant pressure of the Force, like a storm pressing against the transparent steel walls. Yoda, Mace, Plo Koon, they don't interrogate him with words. They sit in the next chamber, eyes closed, and they simply watch him through the Force. At first, Maul is a statue. He breathes in, breathes out, repeats the code of the Sith in his mind. There is only passion, there is only Sidious, there is only the lightsaber in his hand, and the moment he ran Qui-Gon through. But the longer Yoda's quiet presence brushes his thoughts, the more Obi-Wan's grief and Anakin's strange burning destiny echo in the currents, the more hairline fractures appear in that absolute loyalty. The Jedi don't try to break him, they just let him feel what he's never allowed himself to feel, how small he is in a galaxy this big. Then the pattern breaks. The door hisses. No clones, no council. Only Count Dooku, stepping into the light with his hands folded, not a blade in sight. He doesn't pace. He doesn't threaten. He just stands there, looking at Maul like someone staring into a mirror from 20 years ago. "You expect questions," Dooku says calmly. "You expect pain. I came to offer neither." Maul snarls, muscles tensing, as if he could jump straight through the field. "You're Jedi. You're weak." "Once," Dooku answers. "Before I, too, gave my life to a master who saw me as nothing but a tool." His voice never rises, but the words cut sharper than any lightsaber. He talks about Sidious without naming him at first, about whispers in the Senate, about Naboo, about a war that hasn't started yet, but is already laid out like a game board. Maul spits on the floor, eyes burning. "I will never betray my master," so Dooku changes the angle. For Anakin, the warning was about his future fall. For Maul, it's about his future irrelevance. "In the timeline I remember," he says softly, "you already have. You fail on Naboo. You are left in the dirt, cut in half, forgotten. And when Sidious finds a more promising apprentice, a boy named Skywalker, he does not even come back to finish you. You crawl through years of hate, and still, you are only a stepping stone." The words land like blows. Maul's rage flares, but it doesn't slam against the Jedi this time. It twists, it searches, it finds a new target. He sees it. Sidious smiling over a different student, a different red blade, a different Vader. He hears the unspoken truth in Dooku's voice, that even after everything Maul has done, his master never saw him as anything but disposable. By the time Dooku leaves, saying only, "We may find our interests aligned one day," the cell feels smaller. Later, Maul sits before the polished metal of the wall, staring at his own reflection, horns and yellow eyes warped by the curve. His voice is a whisper, but the Force carries it. "If anyone kills him," Maul breathes, "it will be me. Not for redemption, not for the Jedi, just pure, redirected vengeance." And that is our story for today in this cell, but hope you guys enjoy where this goes next, because an enemy who hates Sidious as much as the heroes do might be the most dangerous ally Anakin Skywalker could ever have. Maul sits in his cell, plotting Sidious' death, and somewhere else in the temple, another quiet rebellion is already beginning. It's not with a duel, it's with a lesson. Our story begins in one of the smaller Jedi training rooms, far from the council chamber's cold judgment. Sunlight spills through the high windows, training remotes hover in the air. Anakin Skywalker stands in the center, lightsaber ignited, blue blade humming as Qui-Gon paces a slow circle around him. "Again," Qui-Gon says, but his voice is gentle. Anakin slashes, blocks 3 bolts, then flinches as a 4th tags his shoulder. He hisses, more from frustration than pain, and the Force around him ripples with a flash of anger and fear. In canon, that's the moment a master would say, "Control your emotions." Here, Qui-Gon does the opposite. "What are you feeling?" he asks. He doesn't mean physically, he means everything. The desert, his mother, the shadow of Vader that still clings to him. Anakin swallows. "I'm scared she'll die if I stay here," he blurts, voice cracking. "I'm scared I'll fail. I'm scared I'll become him." He doesn't say Vader, but Obi-Wan, watching from the edge of the room, feels the word echo anyway. Qui-Gon nods, as if this is exactly what he wanted. Good, name it. Let the Force move through it, not around it. Where the old Jedi ways would demand suppression, Qui-Gon invites confession, turning honesty into training. Obi-Wan steps forward, taking over the remote controls. "All right then," he says, half teacher, half brother. "Let's see what you do with fear when it starts shooting back." The remotes surge in, faster now, and the two of them move together, master and apprentice on either side of the boy, blades flashing. It creates a strange triangle, Qui-Gon guiding, Obi-Wan correcting and encouraging, Anakin learning but also quietly leading, because every so often, something slips. A twist of his wrist that belongs to Form V, but refined the way he saw Luke use it. A spin that predicts a blaster angle a fraction too perfectly, like he's already watched this fight 100 times. Obi-Wan catches it, frowns. "Where did you learn that counter?" Anakin freezes, then shrugs. "I just saw it, in my head, like the Force showed me. It's not exactly a lie, it's just not the whole truth." Qui-Gon shares a look with Obi-Wan. For another master, this would be a warning sign. Prophecies, visions, power moving too fast. Instead, Qui-Gon smiles. "Then we listen. The Force is speaking through you. We don't punish it." As they train, Yoda and Mace watch from the observation balcony above, silent shapes behind the glass. Yoda's ears droop in thought. Clouded, this boy's future is, but attached, he is. Dangerous, this path may be. Mace's jaw is tight. He's letting the boy lean into it. Fear, attachment, this is not our way. Later, in the council chamber, that tension boils. Mace questions the leniency. Yoda warns of storms. Qui-Gon stands his ground. "If we demand he cut himself in half to fit your code, you will lose him," he says. "He can be a Jedi without killing the parts of himself that love." That night, sitting on a temple balcony with Coruscant's endless lights beneath him like a new galaxy of stars, Anakin feels something dangerous: hope. Maybe he doesn't have to choose between the Order and his mother, between duty and Padme, between Skywalker and Jedi. For Anakin, that belief will become a new kind of high ground, and the next time the Council tries to pull him down, we'll see just how far he's willing to jump to protect it. Hope you guys enjoy where this training leads, because the real test is coming. For a moment, that belief feels like victory. Anakin thinks he's finally found solid ground, but if the Force itself has reached in, changed the board, and thrown 2 resurrected wildcards into Episode 1, has balance already shifted, or is this just the calm before a much bigger storm? Our story begins in this new middle ground. Qui-Gon is alive. Maul is not a phantom in the shadows anymore. He's a prisoner in the temple, wrapped in binders, instead of vanishing into that Naboo reactor pit. Dooku walks the halls as a Jedi Master, yet every calm smile hides the knowledge of Sidious, of clones, of Order 66. And Anakin Skywalker, still that boy from Tatooine on the outside, is being trained with honesty, with talk of attachment and fear instead of cold lectures and closed doors. The galaxy can feel it. The usual pieces are on the board, but they're not moving the way Sidious planned. His future apprentice has been captured before he could become a legend of terror. His veil of secrecy is torn. Dooku has looked behind the curtain and lived, and his perfect pawn, the lonely slave boy who would one day kneel in a burning factory on Mustafar, is now surrounded by people actually telling him the truth. Anakin doesn't sit alone in council chambers anymore, wondering why no one will explain his visions. Obi-Wan doesn't just repeat the code, he shares his own doubts. Qui-Gon quietly pushes for reforms. Even after everything, the Order is starting to treat Skywalker like a person, not just a prophecy. That doesn't sound like Sidious's galaxy, that sounds like his nightmare. But the Force's gamble cuts both ways. By saving Qui-Gon, by keeping Maul alive, by giving Dooku this second chance, it hasn't erased the dark, it's just moved it. Maul's rage no longer burns on some distant lava platform, it's now caged in a Republic cell, staring at Jedi walls, learning their routines, memorizing their weaknesses. Dooku's gray methods, his willingness to lie, to spy, to bend the code for the greater good, could easily become the blueprint for a new kind of war. Imagine a future where it isn't just Jedi versus Sith. It's Jedi, Sidious hidden network, and a third camp of rogue Darksiders shaped by Maul, by broken ex-Jedi, by people who've seen the hypocrisy and decided to answer it with their own brand of power. A 3-way conflict, with Anakin standing in the crossfire, trying to protect the hope he's just begun to trust. So, has the Force truly pushed the galaxy toward balance, or has it carved new fault lines that will crack even harder later? The real answer won't come on Naboo, or in this first duel, or in one council vote. The real test is the long game, the years when the Clone Wars were supposed to rise, if they rise at all in this timeline. Because if Sidious can't start his war the old way, he may find something worse. And for Anakin, that's where everything will be decided. Let's get right into it. So when we jump forward in this new timeline, the first thing that changes isn't a battle, it's a conversation. Dooku moves early, before any Geonosian arena, before any confederacy of independent systems. He's quietly visiting the same worlds that will one day fly the Separatist flag. Our story begins in dim council chambers on Raxus, in trade halls on Neimoidia, in dusty provincial forums where senators complain the Republic has forgotten them. Only this time, the man listening isn't Darth Tyrannus. It's Count Dooku, Jedi Master, already knowing exactly how Sidious will weaponize their anger. He doesn't tell them to leave, he tells them to stay. Short promises first, longer plans after. Reformist blocks inside the Senate, coordinated voting, a legal firewall against emergency powers. The same planets that once funded droid factories start funding anti-corruption commissions instead. And every step they take toward organized reform is one step away from the open rebellion Sidious needs to justify his war. And back on Coruscant, that shift creates ripples the Chancellor can't fully hide. Senators who should be drifting toward extremism are suddenly talking about a shadow in the Senate. Bail, Padme, Mon Mothma, even Valorum himself start hearing the same phrase from different worlds. A pattern forms, a chill follows. The Jedi feel it. Yoda meditates, Mace walks the halls, and Anakin Skywalker, sitting in the council chamber far earlier than in canon, can't shake the crawling sense of déjà vu. When the first whispers of a strategic security initiative or a preemptive defensive force reach the temple, the room goes still. The last time, those words led to Camino, to clones, to Order 66, pattern interrupt. This time, the council doesn't shrug and move on. Obi-Wan is dispatched not to chase a bounty hunter, but to chase a budget line. Archive droids are questioned. Old Kaminoan contracts are dragged out of the shadows. As the Force hums in warning, Anakin can feel rain on armor that hasn't been printed yet, hear clone voices calling him Sir, and then turning their rifles on him. For Anakin, there is no way he lets that future breathe. Any hint of a clone army hits him like Mustafar's lava. He pushes hard against the idea of grown soldiers bred for war, against inhibitor chips, against any contingency that smells like what will one day be called Order 66. He's not calm about it. He's furious. His lightsaber may be clipped to his belt, but his words are a blade in every council debate. And then there's Maul. If the Jedi manage to capture him on Naboo in this altered run, if Dooku and Anakin together break his loyalty and turn that raw hate sideways, Sidious has a new problem. Maul knows safe houses, dead drops, shell companies, half-trained acolytes buried in the Outer Rim. Under pressure, he can start naming them. Each name forces Sidious to burn an asset early, to pull strings faster, to fight on more fronts than he ever planned. The war engine that once roared to life now coughs and misfires. Droid foundries lose funding. Potential separatists are stuck inside committees. The clone project is no longer invisible. The timeline of the Clone Wars begins to bend, maybe even break, but conflict doesn't disappear, it mutates. If the galaxy doesn't split neatly into Republic and Separatists, it might fracture into Reformists versus Loyalists, Jedi Traditionalists versus Radicals, Sith Remnants versus each other. Sidious might be forced into a desperate civil war among his own agents, rather than a clean, heroic crusade against treason. So as we look ahead, the question isn't whether a great war is coming, the question is who will be standing on which platform when the first shot is fired, and whether Anakin Skywalker is leading an army, stopping one, or tearing the board apart before anyone can move. Even after everything, the fate of the galaxy is still balancing on his next jump. So while the galaxy tilts toward war and everyone is picking a platform, there's one battlefield Anakin Skywalker knows can decide everything before a single shot is fired: his own heart. Our story begins not on Mustafar, not with lava and a burning Vader suit, but in the quiet corridors of Naboo's palace after the celebrations. Anakin walks beside Padme, older eyes and a younger face. He still feels that pull, that warmth when she smiles, but it doesn't crash over him like a wave this time. It's a steady current, familiar, dangerous, and precious all at once. He doesn't blurt out promises. He doesn't swear he'll come back and marry her. Instead, he listens. He asks about her reforms, about the Senate, about how the Trade Federation blockade was even allowed to happen. The connection is still there, but now it's built on shared questions, not just a boyhood crush. Qui-Gon sees it almost immediately. The way Anakin's presence brightens when Padme enters the room, the way her focus softens when she glances at him. Later, on the ship back to Coruscant, Qui-Gon doesn't lecture. He sits across from Anakin and just says it straight. Attachment is real, love is real. Pretending it isn't there is how Jedi end up lying to themselves until the lies explode. Dooku, of all people, backs him up. In a shaded corner of the hangar, the old Count tells Anakin how the Order tried to turn compassion into a rulebook. How his own affection for people like Sifo Dyas, like Qui-Gon, was treated as a problem to be stamped out instead of a strength to be guided. For Anakin, hearing both of them agree that the emotion itself isn't the enemy is like a pressure valve finally opening. So he does the one thing he never did in the original timeline. He tells Padme the truth. On a balcony overlooking the lakes of Naboo, Anakin confides in her about the visions. Not just vague nightmares, but flashes of a future where he becomes Vader, where she dies in his arms, where a lightsaber ignites over younglings in the temple. His voice shakes as he explains that in that life, their love was hidden, twisted by fear, and used by Sidious as a chain. Padme doesn't step back, she steps closer. She doesn't just comfort him, she analyzes it like a senator facing a crisis. If secrecy and fear were the cracks Sidious slipped through, then they will not repeat that pattern. If their bond is real, it has to survive sunlight. It has to survive disagreement. She starts folding Anakin into her plans to reform the Republic. Private meetings with Bail and Mon Mothma now include the quiet Jedi apprentice from Tatooine. He brings warnings about clones, about emergency powers, about how easily the Senate can surrender freedom in the name of security. She brings political cover and a public voice that the Council can't easily dismiss. Together, they begin to test a different path, not forbidden lovers hiding in the shadows, but partners, carefully, honestly, trying to stand between the galaxy and the war they both know is coming. For Anakin, this relationship isn't a secret weakness yet. It's the one thing anchoring him when old fear tries to rise. But the danger hasn't vanished. The Jedi Code still frowns, the Senate still gossips, and somewhere in the dark, Sidious is already searching for the old cracks of control, waiting to see if Skywalker and Amidala will really break the cycle, or fall into the same jump all over again. Let's get right into it in the next part, because if this bond holds, it might be the one blade Sidious can't see coming. Danger hasn't vanished, but something else hasn't either. The shadow of Vader inside a 9-year-old boy. On Naboo, he was a hero. In the Force, he's still the man who once ignited a red blade in a dark temple. Our story begins for Anakin. In the quiet after the chaos, the celebrations on Naboo are over. The podrace is a memory. Maul is gone. Yet as their ship cuts through hyperspace toward Coruscant, Anakin sits alone in a small cabin, staring at his hands. These are a child's hands, but he remembers them burned on Mustafar, reaching up from a black sandbank as Obi-Wan walked away, and the lava roared around that broken platform. He's felt those Vader echoes all through this story. The urge to control everything on Tatooine, to rig every outcome so no one he loves can ever be taken again. The cold, ruthless calculation in the pod race, when he shaved seconds off his time by forcing other racers into crashes. The sharp spike of fear when Qui-Gon first mentioned separating him from his mother, that same fear that once drove him to choke and to fall, master and monster sharing one heartbeat in a boy's chest. But something else has been growing, honesty. When Qui-Gon asked about his visions, Anakin didn't hide. He told him about flames, about a mask, about Luke on the Death Star begging the father inside the machine to come back. On Naboo, he didn't try to be the perfect chosen one. He didn't charge in to save Qui-Gon alone. He warned him about Maul. He trusted Obi-Wan. He chose to fight for Naboo not because the galaxy needed a hero, but because he needed to prove to himself that he could save a world without damning it. So, who is he now? He's not just the prophecy child the Council whispers about. He's not simply Vader reborn, waiting to repeat the same jump into darkness. He's a fusion of both timelines, a walking scar in the Force, carrying every mistake and every moment of redemption at once. The Jedi don't have a rulebook for this. The Sith never planned for a version of Skywalker who already knows how empty their promise of power really is, and that's the point. Knowledge of the future hasn't fixed his destiny. It's made every choice heavier. Every time he ignites a lightsaber, he knows exactly how far that blade can fall. Every time he reaches for anger, he can see the younglings, the temple, the empire. Even after everything, the Force isn't steering him like a droid. It's dropping visions in his path and daring him to do better. Later, in the Jedi Temple, Anakin stands at a tall window, looking out over the endless traffic of Coruscant. He can almost see another life layered over this one. Armor, a respirator, a throne beside Sidious. He closes his eyes. He can't erase Vader. He can't unburn Mustafar, but he can spend this second life building something better from its ashes. Behind him, footsteps approach. A voice speaks his name, and as Anakin turns, the next choice of this new path is already waiting. Anakin turns toward the voice, but in the background, another figure is already making his choice. While Skywalker wrestles with the memory of Vader, Count Dooku is quietly rewriting his own ending. Our story begins for Dooku, not on Mustafar, but in the council chambers. In that moment, he realizes this is his second life. He remembers the lava, the platform, the red blade in his hand as he cut down Jedi in the temple. He remembers kneeling before Sidious, and he remembers his own death at Anakin's hands. Now he stands as a respected Jedi Master again, staring at the same council that once drove him away, and he swears the galaxy will not repeat that cycle. From that point, his path in this altered Episode 1 is a series of deliberate breaks from his old fall. He challenges the council openly, warning of a Sith Lord in the Senate even as they dismiss him. He moves pieces in the shadows, building contacts among disillusioned senators and merchants, not to fracture the Republic this time, but to quietly prepare a net around Sidious. master and almost separatist, now fighting for the fate of the galaxy as a reluctant guardian instead of a future tyrant. The turning point comes on Naboo. When Maul's double-bladed lightsaber ignites, Dooku doesn't hang back as the dignified elder. He steps forward. He reads the pattern of the duel in a heartbeat and sees the moment Maul will strike Qui-Gon down. In the original timeline, that death breaks Obi-Wan and pushes Anakin toward Palpatine. Here, Dooku lunges, taking the killing blow meant for his former Padawan. The red blade tears through him as Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan finish Maul together. As he lies in the Theed hangar, the Force roaring in his ears, Dooku understands the cost. His reputation is already in tatters from defying the Council. His body is broken, but he has severed one of Sidious's key moves, and for Anakin, he's kept the one mentor who ever truly believed in the boy. He doesn't come back pure. Even after everything, Dooku still carries his old flaws like armor. He despises the Senate's corruption. He has no patience for Jedi dogma. He uses leverage, secrets, and careful manipulation to expand his anti-Sidious network. The difference now is direction. The same pride and sharp mind that once served the Sith are turned like a blade against them. His view of Anakin changes most of all. This isn't just the future executioner who once beheaded him in a starship. Through Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, Anakin becomes something else, a potential ally, a living fulcrum of the Force, almost a grandson he never had. Every time he sees the boy, he also sees Vader's mask, Luke's pleading eyes, and the ruin of the Jedi Temple, and that makes the stakes deeply personal. So we end this phase with Dooku standing in the shadows of the temple, watching Anakin train with Obi-Wan. The practice blades clash, blue on blue, as the boy laughs and stumbles and gets back up. Dooku folds his hands, cloak wrapped tight, hidden from their view. He can feel Sidious moving in the Senate. He can feel the Council's fear tightening around prophecy and rules. Quietly, he makes his real vow. If the Jedi cannot protect the Chosen One from the Sith or from their own blindness, then he will, no matter what it costs his name, his standing, or what's left of his soul. And as the training room doors slide shut, he turns away, already planning his next move. Let's get right into it, because the price of that promise is going to reshape the entire future. That vow in the training room is the crack that splits the timeline. One promise from Dooku, one resurrected Skywalker child on Coruscant, and suddenly the Phantom Menace is not the story we know anymore. Our story begins to look very different. Qui-Gon survives Naboo. Maul is not sliced in half and dropped down a reactor shaft. He's dragged out of that Theed power core in binders, a living key to Sidious's identity. Anakin is still that wide-eyed boy from Tatooine, but now his mind carries the scars of Mustafar, the mask of Vader, the sound of Luke calling to him in the Death Star trench. And in the shadows of the temple, Dooku is no longer the future Darth Tyrannus, but a self-appointed guardian, bending every rule he once obeyed to shield the Chosen One from the fate he remembers. Because of that, Sidious' perfect script starts to fall apart. His secrecy is compromised the moment Maul is captured instead of killed. The Jedi Council have a living Sith in their cells, a red blade on the table, and a pattern of Trade Federation moves that suddenly look less like random greed and more like a rehearsal for war. Maul himself is unstable, humiliated, and quietly furious at his master. As the platform of Naboo politics shifts under his feet, Palpatine realizes his apprentice might turn that rage against him the second someone offers him a different kind of power. At the same time, Dooku is working from the other side. He knows about Kamino, he knows about inhibitor chips, Order 66, the Clone Wars, every hidden lever Sidious plans to pull. Instead of recruiting assassins for the Separatists, he's slipping warnings to trusted senators, nudging Jedi like Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan to question troop bills, and quietly pushing the Order to hunt for contingencies before the first clone is ever grown. The future war machine is being sabotaged from within the Republic itself. So what does that do to the big picture? Do the Clone Wars still ignite if every early spark is being stamped out? Can Palpatine still climb from Chancellor to Emperor when Padme is more politically empowered, backed by a council that has seen a Sith up close and is no longer asleep at the wheel? And if the Jedi are already bracing for betrayal, already asking who could turn their own soldiers against them, what happens to Order 66 when the moment finally comes? For Anakin, this new episode I is a second childhood with adult knowledge. He has Qui-Gon alive to guide him, Obi-Wan as a true brother instead of a rival, Padme as an ally who understands the Senate's rot, and a living example in Dooku of what happens when a great Jedi walks too far into the dark. Maul, stripped of Sidious lies, can become a wild card driven by vengeance against his former master instead of the Jedi, and Dooku himself is walking a razor's edge, trying to die a true Jedi this time, even after everything he did as Tyrannus. That is our story for today's chapter of the timeline, but it's only the opening move. Every familiar moment from episodes 2 and the 3rd now sits on a different foundation. The lava of Mustafar, the clones on Geonosis, even the first time a blue and a green lightsaber crossed Dooku's red blade will all play out under new emotional and strategic conditions. Hope you guys enjoy imagining how far this version of the galaxy can jump, because next time we follow these changes into a completely rewritten war. So now, every moment from episodes 2 and the 3 sits on that different foundation, and the Force has made its move. It didn't just whisper through visions or tilt a lightsaber duel on a narrow platform. It reached back, grabbed Anakin Skywalker and Count Dooku out of the ashes of their own failures, and dropped them into the calm before the storm as a kind of living test, because that's what this timeline really is. A trial, not of their power, but of their wisdom. The Force has given them knowledge of Vader, of Order 66, of Sidious' entire playbook, and then asked a brutal question. Can regret and experience actually rewrite destiny, or do the same fears, the same attachments, the same hunger for control bend them toward the same lava in a different way? So now, it's your turn in the council seat. If you woke up as Anakin on Tatooine, with the memory of Mustafar burning behind your eyes, would you walk into the temple and spill everything? Would you tell Yoda about the clones, the chips, Padme, Luke, and Leia, Palpatine's true face, and trust the Jedi to change? Or would you do what this Anakin does here and move in the shadows, nudging events, trying to save everyone without shattering the order that raised you? And if you were in Dooku's boots, standing in the council chamber years before you ever raised a red blade, what then? Do you march straight to the Senate floor, expose Sidious by name, and try to assassinate him before he can jump into absolute power? Or do you play the longer game, letting the war form just enough that you can steer it away from the worst future? For Anakin and Dooku, every choice is a balance between screaming the truth and protecting the fragile trust that still exists. Tell me in the comments how you would handle the branching points we set up. Should Maul be executed on Naboo the moment he's defeated, imprisoned in some deep Jedi vault, or turned into a living weapon against Sidious with Dooku as his handler? And what about Anakin and Padme, now that the future of their love, and its cost, is burned into Anakin's memory? Do they risk an open relationship that could force the Jedi to evolve, or hide it again, and try to outplay the same tragedy from the shadows? If you want to see where those answers lead, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you don't miss the follow-ups, as we push this new timeline into a completely altered Attack of the Clones, a twisted Clone Wars, and a Revenge of the Sith where every duel is haunted by second chances. This is just one branch in our 5 hours of Anakin what-ifs, so if you want more Skywalker, more Obi-Wan, more impossible Force decisions, there's a whole playlist of long-form Anakin what-if videos waiting for you to binge right now. Our story begins on Mustafar, on Mortis, in the temple bombing, in a dozen different futures, and even after everything, Anakin keeps finding new ways to rise or fall. That is our story for today. Hope you guys enjoy, and I'll see you in the next one.